Hi, my loves. We are live today, and we are live chatting, and I'm excited to be here with y'all. We are live chatting about all the amazing things that you are looking to welcome into your life, all of the things that have been going on lately, and just any Q&A. Like, if you have any questions that you want to ask, feel free to ask them. I'm excited to chat and talk with y'all. This is not a one-way conversation today, okay? I know sometimes y'all just like listen to me ramble off and off and off. We're not doing that today. Today we're not doing that. Today we're chatting. It's us. It's a conversation. All right. And while we're chatting, I will be making some dope adornments as well, so you kind of get to see some of my process. But yes. So I want to start off with a little info in general. For those who might be new to Adorned In Taji and aren't familiar with what we do over here. I am NayMarie. I'm your healing arts jeweler and certified crystal healer. I enjoy speaking with y'all and helping you manifest the things that you want most into your life, because I feel like that's important. I feel like we have lived on this earth for far too long thinking that we're supposed to be living by a certain set of rules that just really don't make sense. Like, if we're being honest and true about it, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense mentally, physically, or spiritually, the things that, we've been told to do. So my goal is to get us aligned as close as possible to the things that we want to do in life, while understanding that for some of us, we live in certain bubbles. So, you have to follow certain guides and rules and laws and things like that. But finding ways to work inside of that and still getting the things that we want. Being happy, finding peace, getting out of horrible situations, manifesting abundance, manifesting love into our lives. Recognizing that some things are our fault and we need to take responsibility for, and some things are not, and maybe we need to hold other people accountable. So those are the types of things that when we go live from the hub that we will be chatting about. And oftentimes you will also hear my ace, because like I said, this is not a one-way conversation. So you will also hear the one we'll focus chiming in as well.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I ain't want to say nothing and I don't have the okay to say anything.
Of course, you always have the okay.
It's like I'm going to sit silent until I get to go ahead.
No,
You're definitely going to get
these
the
are
silent text.
our lives.
The days of.
Not the days of our lives. We're not doing that one here. But yeah, so hey y'all, thank y'all for checking in. So live Q&A. Go ahead.
What do I need stone-wise for creativity?
Creativity. So shout out to all my creators. We run the world. Don't let nobody tell you that we don't. The number one stone for creativity is carnelian. So when you're thinking of carnelian, you're thinking of your sacral chakra.
Where's that?
It's located below your navel, in your abdomen. And funny enough, I think I just sent out an email to the email tribe. Shout out to the email tribe. If you're not on, go to adornedintaji.com/join to be a part of the email tribe. And so when you're working with your sacral chakra, that's your creative space. It's also, your reproductive space, and all of that is where that creative energy comes from, because you're creating life from that same space. So when you're creating art, you're creating it from that space. So you could do carnelian, you could do citrine.
Do you have a preference between those two?
I always say carnelian first. Why can't I get my neck piece on? Over here, struggling like hell. I always say carnelian first if you're going to just choose one. And then I say citrine. And then, what is the name of that quartz? Orange calcite.
That's a quartz?
Yeah.
That's wild. I thought all the quartzes had quartz like in their name.
No, some of them look You could kind of tell it's just like it looks, a little. Let me see if I should have some carnelian. Maybe you inspired me to do a carnelian elixir today. Wait, never mind. Ain't no carnelian in this bag. Oh wait, yes there is. Woohoo! This is carnelian. It's usually like a orangey, reddish, a little bit of see-through, a little bit of kind of even looks mildly like amber and carnelian resemble, but amber is a little bit more yellow. And for those who don't know, amber is really cool because amber is formed, it's like a prehistoric stone that's formed from trees and like tree sap. And amber that's the most expensive are the ones that actually have like insects and bugs and things locked inside of it. So if you ever find amber and you find a little creature inside of it, keep it. Let's see. So I'm going to start with making an elixir. And let me get all my tools. 20 gauge. Hi loves, so we're doing a live Q&A. I'm NayMarie, your healing arts jeweler. I'm Adorned In Taji, Certified Crystal Healer. And feel free to ask any questions. If you have any questions about crystals, if you're looking to manifest certain things into your life and you're not sure where to start or what crystals to use, what chakra it affects, maybe what herbs, what teas, what candles and things like that to light and to use, post it in the comments and we're going to chat about it. So Will Focus asked, what's a good stone for creatives? And I answered carnelian. And since I'm going to be creating live as well, while we're chatting today, I'm going to start with a carnelian stone. And we're going to get it popping that way. I do want to pull up, let me see, where's the, because I just posted the, or sent the email rather for the, and I think I sent it this morning. So look at that. For, your sacral chakra or sacral chakra. I like sacral because, like sacred, sacral. Thank you. Google's letting me know that my tablet hasn't updated, but I didn't ask them that. Bop, 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 bop. This is what it looks like. The email. So if you're on the tribe, the email tribe, go to adornedintaji.com/tribe, and this is what you get. It shows you, you can use carnelian, citrine, sunstone, orange calcite, which technically isn't a quartz. It's a little, what's the word when something's not transparent?
Translucent?
No, it's not opaque. That's the one. And things that you would want to do. You could light orange candles to help bring out creativity, joy, and success, because that's also like your prosperity chakra as well. So it's good for abundance, creativity, sexuality, and pleasure. Its element is fire, so going to the beach, getting into the ocean water, the lake water, whatever nearby water you can access, drinking herbal teas, drinking water, eating fruits and veggies that are orange, if you can, based on your blood type, because those of us with certain blood types shouldn't be having a lot of citrus in our diet. So if you can, if it's cool for your blood type to just OD on the citrus, then go for it. If not, you can do things like cinnamon and peaches and mangoes and what did I say? Herbal teas, water, that type of stuff. So yeah.
Hooray for mango.
Not hooray for mangoes. All right.
So I do have another question.
Of course, keep the questions coming.
Is there any stones you shouldn't mix? Crystals, anything like that, you think?
People always say that. And then I feel like people are like, don't use certain stones because if you're trying to bring, but I've never really run into an example of that where it's like I'm trying to manifest something into my life and another stone is like interrupts that. Because even like if I try to think of an example, it's like your stones are basically working for your benefit. So unless it's something where it's like you're maybe wanting to do one thing and not wanting to do another, then don't mix those stones. But if it's just you're willing to welcome all of these certain things into your life, then there isn't necessarily a time that I feel like you can't mix your stones. These people will be like, and then they do say it, like even in certain crystal books, they're like certain stones aren't compatible. But even when I read it, I'm just like, that it still doesn't sound like they're not compatible. It just sounds like you're trying to do one thing with one stone, and that other stone is not necessarily useful for the other thing that you're trying to use it for. So I don't know. I would definitely keep researching that, because I still, to me, I haven't found anything that's just like, oh yeah, absolutely do not do this, or you must do that, or blah, 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 blah. Like, there's certain ways for caring for your stones and certain things that you should and shouldn't be doing. But other than that, it's not like a, like, oh, don't mix carnelian with rose quartz. Like, no. Obviously, keeping certain stones, especially ones that are in the similar color patterns, together is good, because that's what you're looking to manifest, right? So if you're working for, like you asked about creativity, if you're looking to work for creativity, you want to add those creative stones. If you want to add multiple of those, that makes sense. But then I wouldn't say if you're also looking to bring about love in your life that you can't then, add a rose quartz or a pink tourmaline. So like if you're getting, maybe a bracelet or something made that has multiple pieces in it, it's cool to still add those pieces. It's not like oh no, let's not do this. And I don't know. I also I don't believe in the fear aspect of certain things either. I know that in this magic work, there are definitely right and wrong ways to do things. And by wrong, I don't necessarily mean your process. I just mean in terms of if you're looking to bring harm to somebody or something like that, like obviously you shouldn't do that. Whatever their consequences are their consequences. You don't have to necessarily participate or aid in bringing about that consequence. It's going to happen. And even though you may not see it happen, or it might not even happen in this lifetime, but trust, they will receive that karmic situation for whatever it is that you feel like they may have done. Because then when you try to go on and bring about to be somebody's karma, that still reflects and takes a part of you as well. Especially if you're actually doing it with root work, because that literally requires parts of you. So whether that's pieces of your soul or pieces of your mental or whatever it is, it requires parts of you in order to do that kind of magic. So I do not participate in that. I'm here for the light. I'm here for the healing. I'm here for if they did you wrong, somebody else will be their karma. It doesn't have to be you. Somebody else can be their karma, and they can take on that. And you can go on about your life and live your life as happily as you want to. Just knowing that they're going to get theirs, and you don't have to necessarily participate or bring yourself down into a darker space to see it happen. Because who really wants to deal with that, right? Like, if you're already trying to get away from the drama, why would you try to bring more drama to yourself? Like, to me, that doesn't necessarily make any sense. Like, if you're trying to heal yourself, or you dealt with a situation that was bad, and you're just going to keep on, participating in that situation, like, that's not smart. It doesn't, like, the more you participate in it, the longer it's going to take you to get over it and get from under it.
That's true.
So, if you're just out here all willy-nilly, old muscle face Willie. If you're, oh, good inside jokes. If you're out here just or willy-nilly trying to be somebody's karma, that's also a part of your karma as well. Like, you do not have to participate in that at all. You can go on and rightfully mind your business. And sometimes you see it later in life, especially like, I feel like when we're in high school and things, and you see like, never is the bully necessarily the person who then lives their most successful and beautiful life. Like, or even if they do, it's like a front on the outside and then on the inside, because generally, even if you are a bully, you're dealing with something. Like, the reason you're bullying other people is because somebody is generally bullying you in some way, shape, or form. And that's how you're trying to get your power back. So even when you see it later in life and you kind of see people and it's just like, oh yeah, I remember such and such used to be blah, 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 blah. And look how they turned out. Like, people's life choices in their lives generally end up a certain way. And if they don't do the work, if they don't do the healing work, the shadow work to make it better for them, that's just how they end up, So, again, thank y'all to the new people who have joined. We are live. Live chatting, so feel free to post your comments, any things that you're working on inside or that you're looking to work on and you want to know, like, how can you better work on it inside your life.
What are you making right now?
The elixir, the carnelian elixir.
Do you ever have times where you're like, I need to make something for myself?
Sometimes I'll make something and I'll be like, I'm keeping this. It's not necessarily it's not necessarily a moment where I'm like, oh, let me say, like, unless it's like an event or something and I'm, doing a specific outfit or something and I want like a certain look. But usually generally all the pieces I'm making because I would want to wear them. So that's the thought process in mind first. Like, if I wouldn't wear it, unless it's something, specifically custom or something, like if people have been asking me about certain types of items, like I don't wear arm cuffs all the time. I wore them heavily last summer, but I'll have people who ask for them. And so then I'll make them. But I would still make them in a manner that if I did wear them, it would be my style.
So, you said events. You have any events coming up?
Absolutely. Have tons of events coming up. This summer is about to be crazy because it's festival season. So we are doing Nicholas BK. What's up, Bemsha? Hey, Shelby. We're doing Nicholas BK next Saturday. I was going to be there today, but we're doing a live today instead. So Nicholas BK next Saturday. So that's May 6th. And at the end of May as well on the 27th. I'm trying to remember them in order to the best of my ability. Tompkins Avenue. Open Streets Market starts June 4th. And that's every Sunday. I will not be there every Sunday. So check my Instagram as well as my website to see what Sundays I will be there. But I will be there June 4th, which is the day that it starts. June 25th is the Black Girl Art Show. I love how I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head. Like, I can't just go to my website.
But at least you remember.
That's where everything is.
That's a lot.
So June 25th is the Black Girl Art Show. They don't have the location for that yet, but I'm already
how did
slated.
You like it, when you went?
I loved the Black Boy Art Show. That was amazing. It was really, really dope to see all the artists come together. Everybody had amazing, fabulous art. I feel like they're curating a really beautiful show. It's not like, sometimes you go to places and you feel like people are just, like, they just got accepted because the venue is trying to, make money. Yeah, to make money. Like, I feel like they're actually curating a beautiful show with top-notch artists, which also makes it, feel like an honor to to be accepted and to participate. So there's that happening on the 25th. Then the next weekend, July 4th weekend is, hey y'all, so we're live chatting. Post your comments. Oh, look at all y'all tuning in while I wasn't looking. We are live chatting. Post your comments. Anything that you're looking to welcome into your life, we're going to discuss it. We're talking crystals. We're talking adornments. We're talking healing. We're talking universal code, color coding, all that great stuff. So if there's something you want to know about, something that you're willing to or looking to bring into your life, let's talk about it so that we can make that happen. Let's talk about manifestations and affirmations. But I was talking about the events that are coming up. So, I skipped one. So Juneteenth is, this is why I needed the thing. Juneteenth is July 17th, and that's happening at Linden Park in Brooklyn from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So the Juneteenth celebration, I will be vending there. Spectacular Black Girl Art Show is June 25th. Tickets, early bird tickets, I think are still $30. So go and check that out and get your tickets. And you go to, I think it's blackgirlartshow.com to get your tickets. That's June 25th. Location to be announced, but it is in Brooklyn. July 1st through the 4th is International African Arts Festival. Hi, Beansy. Oh, I miss you. International hater. International African Arts Festival happening at Commodore Barry Park from July 1st to the 4th. That's 4 days. It's technically it's a complimentary event, but there's a $10 suggested donation to help the organization. July 29th is International I Love Braids Day happening at Restoration Plaza. Shout out to the one and only Deborah Hairbay. I Love Braids Day is an actual holiday. She did the work to make sure that it was recognized in the city of Brooklyn. So, you know, you have to get like the mayor and all of that involved. And she did that. She said she wanted to recognize braids and our culture on that day, and she does it every year. And this year, thankfully, it's back in Brooklyn. It had to leave Brooklyn for a few years because of pandemic restrictions, but we are back in Brooklyn, and I am excited for that. So make sure y'all come out. So those are all of the events that are happening this coming up this summer. And I look forward to seeing all of your pretty faces at these events. I want lots of hugs. Because it's all about the love. It's all about the love. Mm-hmm. I always love working with like really irregular shaped stones sometimes, just because I feel like it helps to test the bounds of my capabilities. Because in no way, shape, or form is this stone
it's not right.
at all. At all. But it was like, we're gonna make it work, and we're gonna make it pretty too.
We're gonna make it do what it do.
And we're gonna make it real pretty for y'all. Hey y'all, thank y'all for checking in. We are doing live chats. This is not a one-way conversation. I'm here with the one and only, the one will focus. You will hear him, his background voice, the background vocals to my life story. So we're talking about, not going like this. We're talking about right now creativity and the stones that you can use for creativity, which are carnelian, citrine, orange calcite, sunstone. It's perfect for this time of year, as well as we're moving into the warmer days for those of us who don't have warm days all year round. Screw you guys who do. No, I love you. I'm trying to get like y'all. We are working on the bi-coastal of all bi-coastals, because the way these New York winters are set up, I'm not here for it anymore.
At all.
But yeah, so we're working on that. But so keeping the sunstone and the carnelian, which I'm working on a piece right now, hand making the carnelian. So if there's something that you're looking to bring into your life, comment it below. We're going to talk about what crystals are good for that, what chakra space you should be working on.
What about focus?
That's really will focus. I know. For focus, you can do tiger's eye. So tiger's eye is a great stone for amplifying your focus, bringing out your integrity. It also works for your lower chakras, but specifically your solar plexus, which is located from your navel to and above. That's your small intestines. That's your gut feeling. That's where, not you screaming money, money. Okay, we can get to that. So that's your gut feeling. That's spirit speaking to you. So, when everybody is like, oh, when you're feeling the butterflies in your stomach, when you're feeling nervous, when you're feeling anxious, all of that is your body talking to you. That's spirit talking to you. And when you want to hone in on that, you can use tiger's eye. You can also use citrine as well. You can use your orangey brown stones. Yellowy brown stones. Because that is your yellow space where your solar plexus is. Okay. She said, not the background vocals, laughing my ass off. I've been carrying citrine because so needed. ATL is almost 80 degrees today. I loved you before that comment. I just
picking the wrong one.
Yeah, I just need you to know I loved you before that comment. Like, it's like 50 degrees and raining right now. Shut up, Stephen. She put the cry faces. So money, which is what a lot of us are and need to be working on right now. Your money space, your money center is your heart chakra. That is your abundance center. So bang, there's your heart chakra. And those are going to be your green stones. So aventurine, one of the premier stones for bringing about abundance and money. Pyrite, the #1 stone for bringing about money. It's even called fool's gold because of the way that it looks. And get you some jade to also bring luck, abundance, and wealth. All of your green stones. You can even use, even though labradorite is most useful for, I'm gonna make sure I'm doing this the right way. Even though labradorite is most useful for intuition and having, clear thoughts, and it's good for all of your chakras. That being said, it being good for all of your chakras and it's green, you could also use it in conjunction with that as well. But aventurine, jade, pyrite, those are your top 3 for welcoming money and abundance. Light you some green candles, eat you some green foods, like Brussels sprouts and kale and all of the, what's the word? Carnivorous? Say it again.
Carnivorous? That's not what you're looking for, though.
Yeah, greens.
No, but it's a different word. It's like cruciferous or whatever.
Cruciferous? Yes.
Not you asking these words as I have us up here sounding.
What is it? When I'm thinking of carnivores, that's not what I'm thinking of right now.
Cruciferous vegetables.
Cruciferous, there we go. All your cruciferous vegetables. All of the greens. See, she said it, cruciferous. She typed it out. I could have just read it.
Who's she?
Beasley.
Oh, no, don't listen.
Lola.
She don't know what she's talking about.
She got the answer.
She don't know what she's talking about.
She said, what about Amazonite? Because that's the only green I have.
She
that
is
one's...
a vegetable.
I hope not.
Not like... You're dumb.
She is a vegetable. No, please don't be a vegetable. That one's cool too. Like my Baltimore people would say, too. But that one's similar to what's-a-mahoosit. Similar to
Love the what's-a-mahoosit.
You don't like the what's-a-mahoosits? Similar to labradorite is more useful and beneficial for like different stuff, like filtering out stress, healing trauma, soothing energies in the home and space. So like it's good for, she said tea. It's a very calming stone, and most useful for that. So Because it's kind of like, even though it has the greens in it, it's kind of like more like howlite. So you're thinking of like your it's good for your heart chakra and your throat chakra to keep you, you know, calm and balanced and keeping your space like, yeah. Where is, oh, here it is. I'm like, where's my tools? So yeah, so Amazonite is good for that. Because it is in your heart chakra. But if you're looking to really bring about money, then you want to get you them green stones, like the big daddies.
The big daddies.
Yeah.
What about cleansing your space?
Cleansing your space. Bang! You want to cleanse your space? I gotta, she said, okay, Shug, thank you. I'm over it. Cleansing your space. I have the perfect cleansing bundle for that. It includes white sage. Hi, love. Hey, Golden Platinum. So it includes white sage. You get 2 to 3 Palo Santo sticks, depending on the size, but most of them have 3. And selenite wand. So, white sage is going to cleanse the energy in your space, period. So whatever energies, like if you're having positive energy inside your space, do not sage it, because it's going to remove all energy and get you back to a neutral space. So if that's not what you can use other different types of cleansing, even certain different types of, there's multiple types of sage, just like there's also multiple types of Palo Santo, which I had learned like maybe a year ago. So you don't have to necessarily use white sage, but white sage is like when you want to clear the space and start from fresh. She said, if she cleansed the space, you'd have to be gone, in my Martin voice. So white sage is good for cleansing out and starting fresh. And then you can use Palo Santo to bring back that good, you want to bring the good spirits back into your space. You can use Palo Santo. You can light your favorite incense. Some of our favorite incenses like wood spice, whatever smells good, whatever makes you feel good. Also using your incense that corresponds with what you're looking to bring into your life. So you can use money incense, attracts money incense. There's Palo Santo incense, there's sage incense. I can't think of the name for the yeah, there's like rose incense if you're looking to bring about love and all that type of stuff. There's also incense that I was trying to think of for creativity. That's not coming to me right in this moment. But, and then you can keep your selenite wand just in your space somewhere on your altar, wherever it won't be, you know, bothered. You can also use your selenite wand to cleanse the energy of your crystals as well. So use your selenite wand because it's just going to vibrate positive energy into your space. The great thing, and I always say this, the reason why I love working with crystals is because humans and crystals vibrate at the same frequency. So, baby, you know I got that patchouli vanilla in stock. I loves it. That was, Beans put me onto that one, and I was like, whoo, this smells like, But yes, that's a fave. But yeah, so we vibrate at the same frequency. But crystals, us as people, we tend to, you know, we be up and down with all the things that we're experiencing, all the things that are going on in our lives, the other people's frequencies and vibrations and things like that, the outside smog, the pollution, all of these things that are meant to just keep us low. Even the use of our cell phones, TV, all of this stuff emitting, you know, EMF waves and things like that. So using our crystals helps to get us aligned. So when people are talking about aligning your chakras, getting us back to that neutral base where things aren't going too crazy. So even sometimes when you're on a high, you don't necessarily want to be too high. You might, you know, because then you might be too flighty or just doing things in so spontaneous that it might not be beneficial for you. So we always talk about being, you know, so low and how we want to get rid of the lows, but sometimes being too high can not be beneficial as well. So crystals. No, not you getting high. No. Crystals, the person who has never smoked a day in his life. So crystals help us to, you know, get back to that level frequency and to amplify the things that we're looking to bring into our life and focusing on those spaces. Golden Platinum says, selenite crystal, having positive energy with white sage, getting rid of that negative energy vibes. Exactly. Literally that. I love burning cinnamon. Yes, abundance that way. Absolutely. Cinnamon is also good for your creative chakra. So we're talking a lot about that creative space. Gives you some cinnamon. I don't know where. Oh, it's in the kitchen. But I have a little charcoal pot. You can use that to burn. Add your herbs, whatever it is that you need in the moment. Put your oils. Get your scents going. It is really important. It's really, really important to have good smelling scents and things that make you feel good, right? So even some people can't necessarily take the scent of sage, and that doesn't mean that they're a bad person or that they're a fully negative spirit, even though I know we like to joke about that on the internet, but that's not necessarily what it means. It's just some people's systems don't necessarily align with that scent. I didn't even necessarily like the scent of sage in the beginning, but and not that I still like that I like it, it's just I'm used to it where it doesn't I don't feel any kind of way about it. But I like sweet scents, and sage is not necessarily a sweet scent. So to me, it was just like okay, like it existed. It wasn't like something that I would go to burn to be like, ooh, I feel so great or whatever. So I like sweet scents. I like scents that smell like zaddies.
Hey.
You know? I like those types of things to, keep my vibrations going and to keep my energy high. So those are the things that I'm going to use, especially if I'm feeling kind of down. Do the work. If you're feeling down, do the things that you can to get, at least at a base level place. The crystals you use to align your energy and to protect your different vibrations you come into contact with. That is absolutely true, gold and platinum. So when I am vending, and I'll have, let me see, I know I have my elixirs around here somewhere. When I'm vending and I have a table full of pendants and people similar to the ones that I'm making, these are called elixirs, the ones that I'll have out on the table, and people will be like, oh my gosh, these are so pretty. I don't know which ones to get, right? So we were talking about that pyrite. Malachite is also good, but it's good for transformation, but it works with your heart chakra, so it can be used for bringing about that abundance as well. This is jade, right? So when I have all of these beautiful, pretty elixirs and they're trying to figure out which one to get, I'm like, well, which one is calling you? Because generally spirit is going to speak through you, right? So whatever you need in your life, even if you don't necessarily know, I've had people come up to me and their favorite stone might be rose quartz or amethyst just because those are popular, right? So people know about those stones all the time. Those are the stones that they're always hearing about. Amethyst, rose quartz, right? Most popular stones that generally get you started. But then they're like, oh, but for some reason, this malachite keeps speaking to me. Like, I don't know why, but I'm so drawn to that stone. And I'm like, well, for some reason, spirit is drawing you to that stone. And then they're like, well, what does it do? And I'm like, oh, malachite is a good stone for transformation. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm moving. And I'm like, well, there you go. Or I'm getting a new job, or I'm transitioning, or I'm really working on myself right now. And, I've been looking for something to like help me through this transformational period in my life. And I'm like, okay, well, spirit spoke to you. Like, that's the stone that, even though the rose quartz might have been pretty and the stone that you might normally gravitate towards because it's your personal favorite stone, right now, spirit is saying, you need this stone in your life for whatever reason. So that is absolutely 100% true. You will absolutely generally gravitate towards the stones and things that you need in life without even knowing. Like, I think one of my first stones that I ever had was tiger's eye. Mm-hmm. And you too? Mm-hmm. Our first stones were tiger's eye. And obviously his name is Will Focus. So, there's the focus there. But for me, tiger's eye, and I also wear my tiger's eye crystal cube generally. It's like my everyday, no matter what I'm wearing type stone. But it helps me to be my truest self and be my best self, which I always used to feel like I had trouble with. Like, I used to feel like I just couldn't be me at all times, or that I would kind of shrink myself when I was in certain, rooms or spaces. And now I don't have to worry about that. I'm like, you gonna get what you gonna get. And
great way to think.
You gonna get what you gonna get. But and knowing that that's still in a positive manner, right? Knowing that it's not like you're going to get that I'm a negative person or any of that type of stuff, but it's like I'm a beautiful person, and I don't have to shrink myself. I don't have to feel like because you can't handle all the things that I am, that I have to be small for you, right? Or to even make you feel better about yourself doesn't mean that I have to be small. If anything, I can help you be the best version of yourself as well, which is a lot of what I do inside of this work. So I keep my tiger's eye with me because, like I said, it helps me to be my truest self. I feel like it brings out the best and the most of my integrity. And it's just a really fly ass beautiful stone. So I like shiny things. I like pretty things. I'm not, I keep the pretty things around me. Yeah. I am not ashamed of that, or I don't feel any kind of way about that. I feel like people always talk about, like, oh, material things and this, that, and the third. It's cool to have material things. You just don't let those things define you. It doesn't mean that you can't have them, but they shouldn't be, 100% tied to your self-worth. Like if you didn't have those pretty things, it would mean that you're less than a person or something like that. So, she said malachite is a very powerful stone within itself. This is golden platinum. The stone is great for enlightened leadership, protection, creativity, confidence, and a healed heart. And she said that to Sade Wilson. Let me see. Did Sade say something that I missed? Oh, I don't know. I can't see it. But yes, that is all 100% true. She said, my tiger's eye fell out of my ring. Oh no.
Oh no.
But to that point that you made, Lola, that's cool. Well, first of all, you can still keep the stone, even if it fell out. But the other part too is sometimes we find that if our jewelry breaks or, yeah, there you go. It's the energy being released. It's done its job. You don't have to feel a kind of way about it. I've had people who've literally had their stones like break in half. And I know it's heartbreaking for us, especially because we're like, she said, shut up, peanut gallery. Especially because we're using our stones for these healing purposes. So when our adornments or things break, or if our crystals, just even if you have like loose crystals and you have like a quartz or something and it just cracks in half, it's okay. It's okay for that to happen. That means that it did its job. You don't necessarily have to hold on to it. If you're still looking to bring that stuff into your life, just get you a new stone.
Yeah, you got these loose crystals, just let them run the streets. They don't want to stay around.
These loose crystals. And I do sell loose crystals on my shop as well. In addition to the adornments, I do also sell crystal bundles. So, like, let's see what's in this one. Oh, this is the, for those looking to reduce your anxieties. Oh, this is actually the love bundle. So this one has pink tourmaline. It has 3 rose quartz, amplifying that love, an amethyst, a garnet, and a rhodonite. So I do sell crystal bundles as well. They usually have about 7 crystals in them, and they also come with the cleansing bundle. So it's $44 for the bundles. So you get 7 crystals, and there are tons that I have. Let's see what we got going on inside one of these. Oh, so abundance. We were talking earlier. We got your pyrite, citrine, 2 jade, malachite, tiger's eye, aventurine. So you get those stones inside of the abundance pouch. And let's see what other goodies we have. Did I pull out all of them? Okay, no, there's another one here. The abundance pouch. We did the love pouch. Oh, this is another abundance pouch.
House of abundance.
Let's see. Is this a fertility pouch? Yep. So we have the fertility pouch for those who are looking to bring about. She said, no, it's gone. Okay, that's okay, babe. Get you another one. So we have the fertility pouch that has 2 unakite, which is perfect for maternity and fertility. Rose quartz, obviously working in that love center. Moonstone, also stones great for fertility. Carnelian and red jasper, working with your sacral chakra and your root chakra to help manifest the most positive maternities as possible. Let's see what this one is. Is this tranquility? Yes. So we have moonstone, amethyst, clear quartz, labradorite. No, this is intuition. You got 2 labradorite, 2 amethyst, a moonstone, and clear quartz. So this is for those of you who are working on your spirit, your intuition, being more mindful of the things that you're bringing into your life. Those who are looking to do affirmations and working closer with spirit. There's got to be protection inside this big, beautiful black bag. Yes. All of your protection stones. Tourmaline raw, tourmaline tumbled, obsidian raw, obsidian tumbled, shungite, rainbow hematite, and regular hematite. So all of these stones are inside of your bundles. And let's see, I have a protection bundle, an abundance bundle, a protection bundle, abundance bundle, a love pouch, a tranquility pouch, fertility pouch, intuition pouch. Yes. So feel free to go over to the shop and get you some crystals. You can also do custom pouches. I have it where you can choose 1 to 11 crystals to, like, if you already know what you want to manifest into your life. If you don't, send me a DM or an email and we can talk about that as well in terms of manifesting what you want into your life and knowing what crystals to add to your bundle so you can create your own custom bundle. And if you do, I think 4 or 5 or more stones, it also includes the healing, the cleansing pouch. I'm sorry. So, but yeah, so get you some of those bundles, get you some of those crystals. I'm still working on this beautiful carnelian elixir, and we are still conversing about what we're looking to bring into our lives. So today we've talked a lot about creativity, focus. We've done a lot of lower chakras, which I feel our community tends to focus on the most. So heart chakra, solar plexus, sacral, and root chakra.
So what would you say applies to higher chakra?
So that's when you're working, so you have your throat chakra, your third eye chakra, and your crown chakra. So those are, if you're working on communication, lapis and sodalite, blue stones like apatite. What'd you say?
So Lord knows we need communication.
Yeah, and effective communication, right? Because I'll have a lot of people who, especially like in person when I'm vending, who'll come to my table and they'll be drawn to lapis, right? And they're like, "Ooh, what's this for?" And I'm like, "It's good for communication." And they're like, "I don't need that. I communicate just fine." And I'm like,
False.
Even the way you said that tells me that you might not communicate just fine, right? So you want effective communication, not just because you can speak up for yourself or just because you don't have a problem talking or whatever. Like, you know, maybe you
voicing your opinion.
Yeah, you might be no. That doesn't mean that your communication is effective, right? So the way that we speak is also important. How we communicate is also important. So when you want effective communication, lapis and sodalite are good for that. It's also good for you writers, beans. It's also good for you writers, and you know, if you do public speaking, if you're a singer, all of those goods, you know, you could use your lapis and your sodalite for those parts of your life to you know, get your wellness on. And also doing things like, obviously, like herbal teas and things like that. She said, "Fight me." That's why you know, when you're a singer, people are also like, you know, having tea or like water with lemon and those types of things because that's working for you. Okay, DMX. But that was a comedian, right? Who has said that. So when you're working with, you know, those levels of your chakras, those are the things that you can do to better them. What was next? Oh, third eye chakra. So that's your. She said, "I don't do that no more." Okay. You be sending out these random blog emails talking about I don't do that no more, but whatever you say. So the third eye. So you could do your amethyst. Those are your intuition stones, especially like labradorite. And then your crown chakra would be your clear quartz. You can also do amethyst for your crown chakra as well. But those are like your divine, you're connected to spirit. And I feel like that's also why, I don't know if there's a disconnect maybe, or maybe because maybe we are already connected to spirit even when we don't realize it. But I don't know. I would love to kind of like, you know, what are your guys' thoughts on why we don't necessarily focus on those levels of our chakras? Like generally we're usually focused on the lower level chakras. I would love to, you know, have a little bit more discourse on that. But just hearing people's ideas on why we think that is. Because generally when I'm working with people, like when people buy amethyst or clear quartz, they'll buy clear quartz because I'll tell them, you know, it's good for clarity. It's a master healer. It'll amplify, you know, your thoughts. So those can be good or bad thoughts. So keeping clear quartz around when you're feeling your best is better, but it is also a good energy vibrator. So if you're not feeling too well, you can keep it around, but I wouldn't, like if you're having really, really low thoughts, I wouldn't necessarily use clear quartz for that. I would get some protection stones instead to help bring that positivity back up first, and then focus on using the clear quartz after that, just for, you know, to be safe. But yeah, so most people don't generally speak about those higher chakras. Like I feel like we don't always utilize them or discuss, you know, like I do consultations for people who are looking for like that level. But yeah, that's a good point to bring up. Okay, so Bean said, random question, where do you buy your bulk wire? Child? Yeah, at this point, you know how many places closed? Like, even I'll try to find, I have some suppliers who like might be on Etsy. If it's a rush and I'm trying to look for something, I could try to find something on Amazon, but...
Catalytic converters. Pipes under the houses. Wherever we could get.
You can even go to Home Depot. Home Depot got wire too.
Home the pot.
Okay, so she said, because Christianity got black folks in a chokehold. Let's talk about it. Even unconsciously believing that anything that is outside of the physical is woo-woo or the devil. P.S. come through multitasking, making a whole damn piece with a whole combo. You know, that's what we do. But yeah, that is the absolute truth. But I feel like even people inside of, you know, the people who are like, I'm spiritual, inside of that world are still like, I don't know, they don't gravitate towards it. And maybe because they feel like they're spiritual, they don't need it. They're like, oh, I got it figured out because I disowned Christianity, or it's not a part of me, or I never grew up with it. I don't have to worry about it. But I feel like we can all get a little bit closer to spirit. Like, I don't think there's, you know, ever a wrong time to kind of focus and work on that. But also too, I do, because I agree with that. But I also feel like because of the other things that we're experiencing in life, like living inside, particularly for those of us inside of America, having to deal with the day-to-day lives of surviving, right? because most of our community is not thriving as much as we would wish that we are. We're literally out here surviving and doing our damnedest and our best. So we're looking for the abundance. We're looking for the healing. We're looking for the love, right? We're looking for the people in our lives who are going to help us be happy. Obviously, happiness is only something that you can find within yourself first, but people can make us happy. You know, being around certain family or certain friends makes us happy. So when we're looking for that and we're looking to amplify that, those are the things that when we're looking for those crystals that we focus on first, because we feel like if I can get that, then I can get everything else in order. Not you singing "Oh My Lord" in your most Christian church voice. But yeah, you know, so I feel like we don't necessarily think about that first because of the smog that we live in. It forces us to focus on how can, you know, I deal with having to go into work every single day. How can I deal with my boss? How can I deal with my coworkers? How can I work on my business? How can I pay my bills? How can I get out of this bad relationship? How can I deal with going to this family function and my family doesn't understand me or doesn't accept me? Like those things technically are at the forefront of our lives versus some of the other things that we could also be talking about that might even be the answer that we need to healing those things that we're worried about. But yeah. That's exclamation marks. She said, even though the spiritual folks are still affected by the effects of Christianity. But I hear. All my damned air, I have to remind myself of the lower energy centers because insert hot air balloon air here. And you got to keep yourself grounded as well. You can't be too floaty and flighty. Because again, you know, we do got to survive. We do got to survive. All right, I think we are done with these pieces. So here is the carnelian piece.
Yum.
Yum. That was inspired by starting off with the one will focus eyes.
The one will focus.
The one will focus question on what's a good stone for creativity. So we started out with carnelian. Now, let's see. What do you guys think? What do you think? Should we do some crystal cola, mahogany obsidian? So this is mahogany obsidian. Let's see what else I got in here. Unakite. Let me open up so we can discuss some crystals as well. On my site, I have, if you go to the gemstones tab, underneath there's a bunch of amazing tools that I use even when I'm on my lives, because who's about to be remembering 1,000 crystals, right? Like let's be serious. Let's be serious. I do obviously know a lot of crystals off the top of my head because I work with them on a daily basis, but that's even still the basic gist of the crystal, right? And some of these crystals are really robust and they do a lot of things, like we were talking about malachite earlier. Malachite, the definition of benefits for malachite that's on the site is like a full, like malachite and amethyst have like big ass paragraphs. So crystal benefits to live a full life is on my site, and it has a glossary of crystals, and you can click, A, B, C if you wanted to skip to a certain crystal, or you could just feel free to browse through and see what's on there. So just so I can tell you guys, so because right now I want you to help me choose. I just made this crystal elixir with carnelian, and I would like for you to help me choose what the next crystal is going to be, but I want you to know what the crystal's benefits are so it can help you in choosing. So unakite, it's a stone of vision. It's good for your heart chakra. It's a stone of vision, opening up the third eye as well. It's also used for scrying, which is cool. Excuse me. It's believed to be a stone of balance, grounding the self while bringing emotions and spirituality together. It's also, as I spoke about, a good stone for facilitating health and unborn babies and good pregnancies. Mahogany obsidian is good for your root chakra. Strengthens the aura, protecting against repeated problems. Wonderful at providing both grounding and protection. It's also a good stone too if you're dealing with any type of abuse or negativity. It encourages strength in times of need, eliminates energetic blockages, relieves tension, and helps to stimulate growth on all levels. Let's see what else I got. Chrysocolla. Chrysocolla is Chrysocolla granulite. Good for your throat and your heart chakra. It helps to calm, cleanse, and re-energize all of your chakras. It draws out guilt, heals heartache, and increases the capacity to love. Improves communication, opens psychic vision, and encourages self-awareness and inner balance. Let's see. I want to create stones that I haven't done already. Like I have like the amethyst and all the ones that we spoke about earlier. All the heart chakras, all the pyrites, all the tourmalines, and all of that. So I want to do one that I haven't necessarily done as an elixir so that you guys can kind of get, new stuff as well. So bloodstone is excellent blood cleanser and a powerful healing stone. It's good for your root chakra and your heart chakra. It has little, I don't know if you guys can be able to see it, but it has like little speckles of red in there. So that's definitely good for your root chakra. And then the whole stone is green. That's good for your heart chakra. We also want to talk about color coding after you guys help me pick a stone. It heightens intuition and increases creativity. There you go. There's another stone for creativity. It's grounding and protecting. Bloodstone draws out negative environmental energy, helping to overcome influences, such as the things that we deal with, the stress from our phones and the internet and all that kind of stuff. Purifies and fortifies the blood, making it ideal for people with anemia. Detoxifies the liver. It can also be used for people with lung conditions like leukemia and COPD or certain things like that.
Mesothelioma.
Not mesothelioma. Those commercials get on my damn nerves. And let's see. Let's pick one more that I haven't done before. Oh, turquoise. Okay. Turquoise. Turquoise is good for your heart, throat, and third eye chakra. It promotes self-realization, assists with creative problem solving. It's a symbol of friendship and stimulates romantic love. It's also a calming stone that can induce internal serenity and lift depleted spirits. It will help flush negative emotions from the mind, and it's also said to support the detoxification of the body. So, y'all let me know. Are we doing turquoise, chrysocolla? Hey, Yvette. Auntie Yvette. Unakite, bloodstone, mahogany obsidian. So while we're live chatting, I'm making elixirs while we're live chatting. I just made this carnelian one, and I would like for you guys to help me choose the next one. So what's your votes? What you got?
Are these going to be put on the store afterwards?
Of course they're going to be on the store. They will absolutely be available because I have my own.
You said auntie? Is this the auntie?
Mm-hmm.
She can't get anything.
Don't start with her. It's too early.
She's not allowed.
So let me know what you guys think. So we got chrysocolla. We have bloodstone. We have mahogany obsidian. We have unakite. And we have turquoise.
Unakite.
She said don't start. She was being nice today. All right. So which ones do you guys think that I should start with? We got one vote for unakite.
2 votes for unakite.
Not two.
3 votes for unakite.
You can't just be 2 and 3 votes for unakite. She said it's early. Don't start. It's about to be. Y'all know? Nobody? Unakite. Unakite. Bloodstone. Bloodstone. Mahogany obsidian. Mahogany.
Okay.
Obio obsidian. Obsidian. What else did I say? Turquoise. Turquoise. And what was the other one I said? Chrysocolla. Chryssocolla. So which one? Bloodstone. Is that the next to last one? I don't remember what order I just went in. So we're gonna go again. This is Bloodstone. This is Mahogany Obsidian. This is Unakite. This is Chrysocolla. And this is Turquoise. So we have one for Unakite, one for Bloodstone.
I thought we had 3 for Unakite.
That one's Bloodstone. We did not have 3 for Unakite, baby. Nice try, though.
You know, this is rigged.
And Bloodstone is an excellent blood cleanser. It's a powerful healing stone. It's good for your heart and your root chakra. Increases creativity. It's good for grounding and protection. Draws out negative environmental energy. Helping to overcome influences that we deal with every day. Bloodstone? Okay. Bloodstone it is. We'll start with Bloodstone and then we'll do Unakite.
Oh, God. The world is against me.
Not the world being against
Woodstone.
you. Oh, Auntie said Unakite. She said, I can't spell it. Okay, so we got Bloodstone and then we'll do Unakite. Auntie, what else are you looking to bring into your life? What are you working on right now? Let's talk about some stones and some things that you can get going. Not Lola saying nanny nanny boo boo. You two just love each other already.
Boo.
Not boo. What are you looking to bring into your life? Also, Beans, what you got going on today? This lovely Saturday. Is it today Saturday? Lovely Saturday in Atlanta. Are you relaxing? Is that why you're able to join us on live? Let us know what you got going on. She said not ever. It's gonna happen.
Nope.
I don't care what you guys say.
You're going to have to bathe her in crystals.
Not bathe her in crystals.
Sage her. She has to come equipped standard with Palo Santo.
Standard equipped with Palo Santo?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are really ridiculous. Like y'all didn't meet being best friends.
No, I don't know her.
I don't know her.
I don't know this woman.
Procrastination. All right. So that is actually, we were talking about it earlier, but that's actually a little bit of your, that can be a mix, but that's some of your upper chakra as well. Will Focus, can you do me a favor and bring me my laptop, please?
Mm-hmm. Denounce Lola. And I would bring you a laptop.
No.
You need to unplug it?
She said, yeah, you can unplug it. She said, somebody trying it today. And Lola said, you need to be in that Palo Santo box and pushed into the ocean. Why are y'all like this? Okay. Jeez. We need some,
Ow, my thumb.
oh, sorry. We need some positive vibe crystals for y'all. All right. So, because I want to open up, if y'all haven't, download the crystal guide. The crystal guide has, it's complimentary. It's on my website, adornments.com/crystal-wellness. And it gives you all of the good goods. But before I say this, I want to make sure, because I was thinking of a couple of stones, and I want to make sure I have that the last stone is the right stone that I'm thinking of. Control F. Nope. It's not. Ba ba da da ba da ba. Okay. Okay, so we're going back because I was obviously the sacral chakra because that's your creative space. She said she got help today double teaming somebody. Not Auntie and Lola coming for you, babe, but it's okay. So carnelian is good for reducing procrastination because it's gonna work in that creative space. So it gets your, get your energy and your vibes going. But I was looking to see, there was a upper chakra. Okay, so it was amethyst. I was looking for something else, but amethyst is a good one. So generally procrastination comes from needing to work on your lower chakras. There's something just about the energy that you're dealing with or that you're experiencing that's making you not want to do certain things. But you can use carnelian to get that creative energy and those vibes going. But you can also use amethyst as well, or even ametrine, which is when amethyst and citrine are fused inside of the, you said what? They have a baby? When amethyst and citrine come together and they have a baby, it's called ametrine. And
they love each other very much.
But yes, so ametrine is also good for that as well. Let me see. Do I have that written inside of this one? I know it's a good calming. It keeps your, it's good for, especially if you're having tension headaches and things. Balances and soothes the emotion, relieves depression, overcomes prejudice by enhancing compatibility and acceptance of others, stimulates creativity, supports taking control of your own life. So there we go, ametrine. They are literally on here. Auntie talking about she not alone. Thanks, Queen. I'm gonna need help. Lola talking about don't tell me what to do, and she said don't worry to her. She got her back.
Look at y'all.
But yeah, so
trauma bonding.
Ametrine strengthens concentration, brings clarity, and harmonizes perception of action. So ametrine is the perfect stone for you if you're looking to reduce procrastination. Ooh, I should make an ametrine pendant as well, but I only have one, and that's my favorite stone, so I'm gonna have to go source some more. And so like I was saying, it's the chemical reaction of the heating inside of the earth, where ametrine and citrine in their raw forms. Oh man, I don't have it near me, but usually you can see because they grow inside of like geodes, which are things that form inside of the earth, like when the water and the crystal. Anyway, we're getting real scientific, but you can usually see, like, if you have a raw piece of amethyst, it usually has like the geode base on the bottom, and you can also see that for citrine as well. Matter of fact, it's in my shop, so at least I can show you the pictures of what they look like, so I'm not just like I'm not just saying any old kind of thing, so at least you guys can see what it looks like. So this is the citrine cluster. You can see how, try to get the ring light out of there, how it has the bottom, like this bottom part here, that's like earth, like the earth's crust, right? That it's growing attached to, and then that's the crystal for the citrine that forms inside of it. And then amethyst is very similar. I'm gonna get y'all the other amethyst picture so that you can see it. Very similar, and that's also, the earth's crust, and then the amethyst grows, and they're like, that's why it's like very crystallized. And sometimes amethyst and citrine grow near each other. So when they're being heated up to form these crystals inside the earth, they can come together and form ametrine. But you do have to be careful, because scientists and people have discovered this, that you can end up with like fake ametrine, because it is something that can be man-made or man-produced. So they will try to be like, oh, ametrine, but then they heated it up in a lab. It wasn't like heated up by Gaia. Okay, she said, I'm in mourning too. Oh no, that makes me sad to hear. But use your crystals. Keep your crystals to get your energy and your vibrations up. If you have to, burn your sage to cleanse your space, so that you're clearing out any negative feelings or negative energy that you may be experiencing. Burn your Palo Santo. Use your crystals to get your vibrational energies back up. Burn your incense. That's going to make you feel good. Take a spiritual bath. Put some herbs in there. You can use things like lavender to calm your spirit. Rose to bring about some love. There's tons of herbs that I'm not thinking of. Lola! What herbs can she use in her spiritual bath? But yeah, get you a good bath to relax your body. And obviously feel your feels, which is very important. So whenever you're going through something, we always try to just like get back to the positive. And like whenever somebody's feeling down, we always trying to immediately make them feel better. And it's like that just sometimes distracts from what they need to experience or what they need to go through. Because when you lose something, it's sad. And you need to feel those emotions. You need to, you have to feel that. You have to get it out. If you have to cry, cry. If you have to yell, yell. If you got to scream, scream. Do whatever you have to do. If you need hugs, go get hugs. I'll be at Nicholas next week, so you can come give me hugs. Chamomile, rosemary, white rose petals. There we go. See? Tribe. That's why I call us a tribe, because even if I don't have all the answers, or if my brain is on the fritz and it's like I do have the answers, but they're in the back here, and I'm speaking from up here and I can't pull from back there, you call them a tribe. The tribe got the answers. But yeah, so, feel how you gotta feel. It is okay. I feel like we're always trying to rush ourselves out of feeling how we have to feel. It's in the immediate moment, we're always trying to rush ourselves out of how we feel. But as time moves on, it is important to, process those feelings. Hopefully time does heal. So you should be, what you're experiencing might not be as painful as it is in the moment. But working on that and doing what you have to do, and keeping the positive things and remembering the good things about whatever the situation is that you're mourning, or maybe whoever the person is that you're mourning, remembering those things about them and keeping that energy and spirit alive is what's important, so that you don't have to dwell inside of the feeling low too often, especially when you think about that person. Which is why Will and I always talk about, like, when the time comes and we pass away, we don't want like sad, funerals or things like that. Oh, she said add some sea salt as well, Auntie. And she said blessings. I'm thinking of the happy times. Yes, absolutely. And that's what I was going to say. When we pass, we want it to be a celebration. We don't want it to be, a down. Like, obviously, y'all are going to miss us because we're dope human beings. But we don't want it to be a situation where everybody is sad and everybody is down. I'd rather y'all tell happy stories and get to know each other. For those people who don't know each other, like, become new tribe. I would love for the people who were in my life, who were great people, to get to know each other, who may not have had the chance to get to know each other while I was alive, or whatever the case may be. And just make it a really happy time. Talk about the great things that we did together, how I made you feel, funny times, things that we experienced, ridiculous times, whatever it is. Like, when my dad passed, and well, first off, me and my sister are different breeds, because we were laughing throughout the whole funeral, but we were laughing for different reasons. But when he passed, we enjoyed like the stories of his friends that we didn't necessarily know. Because for the most part, my dad was like, he was like a big griot in a sense. Like, he loved telling you stories. He loved telling you what was going on in his life. And he was great at telling stories. Like, he always made it really, really interesting. And I think for me, that's like one of the parts that I miss the most, is just hearing how he, you know, spoke. And he always spoke with like such passion. And he was like a really, he cussed like a sailor, which is where I get it from. But he always like spoke with such vigor and such life inside of his stories. So when we got to hear some of his friends telling stories, it was really dope. Just to be like, oh, okay, like, you know, we didn't know that one. Or even to some of them, we were like, we don't even know who this person is. So to hear some random story about, you know, them playing baseball on the block growing up or whatever, which is a block that we both also grew up on, because my grandmother still lives in the same house that my dad and my aunts and uncles grew up in. She still, for now, has the house. So those were, to know, like, when they're speaking about certain things or certain stores or certain whatever that might have been in the area, it was cool to hear those stories. So those are the kinds of things that I would prefer to happen. I don't want it to necessarily be like a sad situation or whatever. Even though, of course, you know, it's sad. And like I said, you got to feel how you got to feel. But it was cool for us to sit there, and for us to laugh, because we were making jokes because we know who our dad is, right? And we were just like, there were people, you know, like, and the pastor was doing it for the sake of my grandma, I think. But he was like, you know, like, oh, you know, we know at the end of days, people come to God and they're in their glory. And we were like, what Stephen is he talking about? Because that ain't our daddy. Like, those are the things that were making us laugh throughout the process. So I think it's good to have those people around who can help you, you know, laugh and just remember the good times of the situation. The love and the things that you experience with that person. She said her aunt was 95 years. That is amazing. We watched so many pictures during her funeral and told great stories about her. I love that. I love that. First of all, shout out to her to get into 95, because goals. Like, if I don't make it to at least 90, me and the source gonna have to have a conversation. Like, 90 is the minimum. But, and shout out to my grandmothers who are both 89 and will be turning 90 at the end of this year. But that is beautiful for her to have made it that long, and then for you guys to share pictures and stories and just reminisce on the good times that you might have had with a person. You really gonna sing Boyz II Men? No way. I can't with this man. But yeah, I feel like those are the important times and the important, you know, moments. And also, y'all, have family reunions. Don't wait until a person passes away to for everybody to come together and to, you know, be like, oh, I haven't seen such and such since they were yay big and blah 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 blah. Like, let's normalize family reunions again. I feel like our community isn't doing them like we used to do. And it might be on the generation that's in their 30s, 40s, 50s to be the ones to spearhead it at this point, because obviously the older generation is just worried about kicking their feet up and relaxing for the rest of their lives, as they should. And the younger generation is focused on surviving, even though some of us in our 30s, 40s, and 50s are also focused on surviving. But we got to understand that they're just building their lives right now. So they might not be, they'll be in attendance, but they might not be the ones to organize it. So let's make sure we're organizing the family functions and getting the family together for those who have, you know, families that they like being around. And if you don't like being around your family, that is understandable. Not all families are, yeah, they're not creative equal. They are not all conducive to positive spaces. But if your family is dope, then go hang out with them. Keep those moments and those memories alive, because I hate when people are always like, oh, I wish I would have spent more time with somebody. And it's like, you could have. But yeah. And, or if you don't, just know that, like, be okay with the knowing that you know, you saw certain people when you saw certain people. Like, as long as you're cool with that, as long as it's not going to affect your spirit when you lose somebody, that's cool too. Because there's certain family members where I'd be like, oh, I'd be sad if they passed away, but I wouldn't feel like, damn, I wish I saw them one last time. It's like, okay, when I saw them the last time, it was a good feeling, and I can carry that feeling with me throughout. Versus it being like, oh, you know, I wish I would have got one more hug or one more kiss or whatever it is. Like, go get it.
One kiss.
You will not Ray J one kiss. She had a great mind and didn't look her age. I love that. I was caring for her when she was living at home. See, that's so beautiful. I feel like that is the amazing, first off, you being the amazing family member to, you know, look after her, especially in her final days of experiencing this plane. And that she has all of her marbles. Because, and I also feel like a lot of our elders in that age range do. Both of my grandmothers, they be going around. My mom's mom goes on walks and goes on, you know, trips, and she has people taking her out, and she goes to all these festivals and shows and things. And I'm like, ma'am, how your social life better than mine, you know? Lola said you're bored because you started singing One Kiss. But like, legit, her social life is better than mine. But I love that. Because that's what she should be experiencing, her best life at almost 90. Like, that is literally what she should be doing right now. And for both of them to still have perfectly... My grandmothers can text me, okay? Like, I never in my days that I think I would receive a text message from either of my grandmothers, but both of them do it. And they're almost 90. And it be in English, which is better than I can say for some of my friends. She said, yes, I need to hang out with your grandma. Me too. I need to tell grandma to come scoop me. But one of my grandmothers is in Atlanta, or Lithonia, which I think is like the outskirts of Atlanta. And the other one is in Detroit. And my goal is to go see both of them. I haven't been to my grandmother in Atlanta's place yet. So I would like to go see what it looks like. But yeah, I feel like, you know, let's go. And then also too, the elders have great stories. They always have the best stories. And that's also how you learn about yourself too. I was having a conversation with my dad's mom, and she told me that my great grandmother, who I was relatively close with before she passed away, and she lived to be over 100, but she told me that she was from New Orleans. And I just found this out like right before I was going to New Orleans last year, around this same time, because Will and I were celebrating our anniversary, and the anniversary location that we chose was New Orleans. And I was telling her I was going there, and she was like, there's something about you in that city. You love that city. And she was like, you know, your great grandmother was from there. And I was like, no, I did not know that. And then she went down a whole conversation about the spirit realm and how she was affected by that when she was younger, and how she got her veil lifted so that she didn't have to experience that realm. And I'm like, the things that I would have never known, you know, had I not had this conversation. I also wouldn't have known why I always had such a connection to that place. It's really one of my happy places. So I feel like it's important for us to speak to our elders and to just get information, you know. Yes, that's where she is. But you know, it's important for us to speak to our elders and get that information, and just knowing as much about ourselves as possible, and just as much about them, because what shaped them shaped us in some way, shape, or form. Like, as much as I grew up with both of my parents, and then, you know, to an extent after a while in two different households, I grew up with my grandparents. I grew up with my aunts and uncles. Like, my family was really, like, when they say it takes a village and they use the tribe to help raise, like, I really grew up with everybody. And I have great memories with all of my aunts and uncles and everybody who at some point in time I spent weekends or sometimes summers with. So when you get to learn about these people, you understand why, you know, a little bit more about yourself, like why you are the way that you are, because it's all DNA, right? Some of it is learned behavior and some of it is innate. So it's really cool to have those conversations and to, you know, get those details about what it is that we're experiencing. See, that's another thing. Yvette said she never knew her grandmothers. They passed away before she was born. One of my grandfathers passed away before I was born. Will and I both, right? Mm-hmm. We didn't meet one of our grandfathers, and are both maternal, right? Mm-hmm. So we never got to meet them. And it's funny, my maternal grandfather, his birthday is 2 days before mine. So everybody was like, oh my God, you would have been his favorite. He would have loved you. And I'm like, I'm everybody's favorite. And that's also kind of like a running joke in my family too, because I'm the oldest, everything. I'm the oldest grandchild. I'm the oldest, I only have one sibling, but I'm the oldest sibling. I'm the oldest cousin. So I always joke around and tell them that I'm the favorite and they just had the rest of y'all so that they wouldn't look biased. You know, because everybody else needed to have kids. That's why the rest of y'all existed. But yeah, and those are the good, you know, the good jokes that we could have, like family fun jokes or whatever. But yeah, so I never got to meet my paternal grandfather, but I did meet, my maternal, but I did meet my paternal grandfather. And he inspired me in a lot of ways to be an entrepreneur. He was always the one motivating me and telling me, like, I'm going to own my own. And, I'm, do business my way and blah, 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 blah. And I always kept those things in the back of my mind because he was feeding that to me as far back as I remember, to like when I was 7. And even when I experienced certain things in life where it was like, I've had regular jobs, like retail jobs and whatever else, restaurant jobs, but none of that stuff ever really, it was fun, but it wasn't fulfilling, and it wasn't obviously my purpose. And I would have always came to this at some point regardless. So that's right. Exactly. He did put it into existence, and that's how I feel about it. I believe that's why I was so close to my aunts, to gather info about my parents. Yep. Absolutely. That's what happens. And then also too, for me, I spent a lot of time with my aunts. So, and also thankfully, a lot of the people in my family were married. So I got a lot of examples of what Black love looked like. And even though, you don't know all the drama and all the things that people are dealing with or experiencing, especially not when you're young, and you learn some of it when you get older, but it doesn't necessarily matter when you're younger, because if you're just seeing that picture is what you hold and what you carry with you. So I got to see these like amazing couples, who seemingly loved each other and whatever, and I never really saw them argue too much or anything like that. So for me, it was always like, that's the kind of love that I want to have in my life. And I was fortunate enough to find said love. Excuse me. I need some water, please. I've been talking for a long time. I'm gonna need more than this, but thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm. My throat is starting to dry out. But yeah, so I've been fortunate enough to find love that reflected the love that I saw growing up. Or at least the love that I thought I saw growing up, because I'll say that. Which is why, images and the way that we view certain things are important. Like having shows like, The Cosby Show and A Different World and things like that. For people who didn't get to live those lives, it got to show them what those lives looked like. And I feel like that was really important for our community to be able to see that, and to, you know, even if it might not look like that in your home, you have something that you can
Aspire to.
Say it again.
Aspire to.
Aspire to, exactly. So I feel like, you know, having family talks, family reunions, getting together, doing the fun things, it's important. And that includes your chosen family as well. So I hate Lola because I coughed afterwards. She said couldn't even say it with a straight face. Right. Yvette said she grew up with a village around her. I feel like having those people in our lives, and again, even the chosen family is really important, because those are the people, you know, who help us through the tough times, who are there for us when we don't think we're going to be able to get through something, or whatever the case is. So chosen family to me is just as important as, or if not more than your blood family. Because sometimes, we already spoke about it, sometimes your blood family ain't it. Sometimes they ain't it, as much as you might want them to be. So keeping the tribe alive and keeping the tribe together is just super important, you know? And building that tribe and building those people around you that you love and who are going to look out for you no matter what, and who are going to be there for you no matter what you're experiencing and going through, and who are going to hold you accountable, especially if you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing and you know you shouldn't be doing it. Or for those people, you know, you're always complaining about your situation, but then you're not doing anything to change your situation. Like, if your friends are tired of listening to you complain, it's not because they're not supporting you. It's because they love you and they're tired of seeing you in the situation that you're in, and you're not doing anything to change it. And after a while, that's going to weigh on their spirit as well. So keep in mind, you complaining and not wanting to do anything about, or not doing the things that you should to change your situation, also weighs on those people that you keep running to. So I recommend Jesus. But yes, fix it fast. Do the things that you have to, you know, get your life in order. And that's a lot of what we'll be talking about. So we'll be doing these lives often, where I'll just be on here for hours making stuff and chatting with y'all, especially during the days when I'm not vending. I was supposed to be at Nicholas, Brooklyn today, but the weather wasn't, even though, of course, oh no, it actually is raining. I was going to say the weather turned out to be okay, but no, it's a not good. So those days we'll be here live at the hub chatting with you guys. Yes, see, those shows absolutely did help. I actually went to Howard because of A Different World, because I was like, I want this Black college experience. Like, I want to go somewhere where people look like me. Growing up, I experienced a lot of multicultural schools. In maybe kindergarten to third grade was a mixed school. So they had everybody in there, but then they shut the school down after a while for whatever reason. Fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, I went to a predominantly white school, there was 4 of us in my class, 4 black kids and an Indian boy. But the Indian boy told me, because I went to Catholic school from kindergarten, I guess, to 12th. I went to Catholic school. But the Indian boy taught me that I didn't have to participate because I wasn't Catholic in the things that they were doing when we had to go to mass. So I appreciated him for that, because I was like, oh, this stand up, sit down, and taking your communion. Like, y'all are drinking from the same cup that all they're doing is wiping with a cloth. Like, that didn't sit right with me and my OCD and my hygiene habits. So I was like, ooh. And one day I remember I asked him, I was like, why aren't you going up? And he was like, because I think he might have been Hindi, and he was like, this is not his religion. He doesn't practice it. And I was like, say less. Guess who never got up again? But yeah, so it was cool going to the multicultural school for that reason, or being around different cultures for that reason. But that was a predominantly white school. So, it wasn't, you know, I had to experience, and I didn't experience like racism or anything like that at that school, thankfully, because we were young enough. And I guess my friends maybe were just not in that mindset. And I know we always talk about things being like progressive or whatever, but that didn't necessarily exist as much back then. But I didn't necessarily experience racism in that regard. Or at least not that I could remember, because I'm pretty sure it was, you know, microaggressions, but nothing that where I blatantly felt like, but it was still the being the only ones, you feel it, right? Because it's like a sea of 5 little colored people in this sea of complete whiteness. And so you feel it, even though you might not even fully understand what it is, you feel it. And then 7th to 8th grade, I went to a predominantly black school. And even though I had the most trouble socially at that school, I didn't experience, like, you know, it's you feel like you fit in, or you're with your friends, or whatever the case may be. So, even though I like wanted to, you know, came into the most confrontations and things like that I experienced at that school, it was still a chosen experience that I would have preferred. And then in high school, it was mixed, but it was also predominantly Latino. So we had a high Latino population, then it was blacks, then it was Asian, and then there might have been a few white people sprinkled throughout in high school. So from those experiences, though, I realized, like, I would prefer to go to an all-black school, especially by then. We're well aware of racism in high school, which I think is sad that it took all the way for high school. But in high school is when I learned that Abraham Lincoln didn't free the slaves, and that he owned enslaved, and that he owned enslaved people himself. And I remember we all we were all like in an uproar in the class, and I appreciated my social studies teacher was also my track coach at a point in time, and the boys basketball coach. And I think he's the principal of the school now, which is kind of cool for him. But I remember at the time, he kind of was like hesitant to tell us because he knew what was about to happen, right? But I appreciated him because he did tell us. And I was like, shout out to you, Mr. Blank, for telling us. But those were like, I knew, I was like, there's no way. Like, I was so racially aware at that point that I was like, there's no way I can go to a predominantly white school. So Howard was my first choice. And even though Howard didn't give me the most money, but because they gave me some money, I was like, let's do it. Let's make it happen, Captain. And that was like one of the best decisions I ever made. Your bloodstone elixir. One of the best decisions I ever made, because the people who I met at Howard were some of my first supporters. And still to this day are some of my biggest supporters. And even though I didn't graduate from Howard, I went for 2 years, and then I came back to New York and went to a city school. I only stayed connected really with one person from that school. And I might still be like Facebook friends with like 7 of them, but like I really don't ever talk to them. Thank you, Auntie. I really don't ever talk to them like that. But Howard, that connection, that network, that tribe that we built has withstood, the test of time. And had it not been for a different world, I might not have even necessarily had that in my brain as not even like an option, but just like a determination. Like, because I knew about historically black schools. I'm pretty sure they made us aware of them. which I don't think was your experience.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure they made us aware of them at my school, but it wasn't something that, was like pushed, or it was just like, it's an option. Versus I feel like it should be like the only option for us. And not that they don't have their downfalls or whatever. Administration generally sucks at those schools, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Which is also why I ended up not going back to Howard. I was a product of the admin building. But like I said, just those 2 years that I was there and the networking and the connections that I made have withstood the test of time some 20 years later. I still talk to these people regularly. We're still in group chats. We're still in Facebook groups. We still, send each other memes and whatever regular, everyday. I gotta scratch my face. Whatever regular day, everyday, life type stuff. So, Lola said I didn't realize any of that was real. Somebody needed to tell somebody, right? She said, as a kid, TV was TV. It took years.
That's what happened with me.
Will said that's what happened with him. Golden Platinum said, I really like your shirt, by the way, about Crystal Sage Policy. Thank you. Thank you. This shirt is going to be live on my site. What's today? On Monday. So this shirt is available for purchase. It will be live on my site on Monday. But yeah, we didn't know. And what you don't know, you can't do anything about. But I also feel like that's why it's important, because I wouldn't have known about those things necessarily had it not have been for those shows. And also then for, like I said, my school making us aware that these types of schools existed. And then I'm sure also too, my family was very pro-Black, talking about back to my grandfather. He was extremely pro-Black. So, and my dad was always the, F the police type mindset and whatever else. So back during that time of when those shows were popular and, you had the race riots and Rodney King and all of that type stuff. My family was very much so making sure that I was aware of certain things. Which is why, for even when my teacher told us about Abraham Lincoln, it wasn't like a shock, really. It was just like, damn, like more stuff y'all lied to us about type thing. But yeah, so I am grateful, and I do wish, because I have friends who they grew up in the lifestyle that I currently live now. And sometimes I wish that I did, but we all get where we're supposed to be eventually. But yeah, I think those shows, and even that's a lot of what I do with Taji Mag, right? It's our images, our narratives, showcasing us, in images that regular standard media doesn't, because all they want to show is like housewives and basketball girlfriends and love and hip flop and whatever. And it's just like, yeah, because it'll be like Real Housewives of something, and then you realize none of them are married. Like, so how is this a housewives show? It should be like Real Girlfriends and extra side pieces or whatever, but that's the life that they choose. Kudos to them, I guess. But we need more shows, because for some people, TV, because, to the point that you and Lola was saying, like, you thought TV was TV. But for some people, TV is real life. If you see it on TV, that was like, who was it? What's his name? Something Idris. Damson? Snowfall. The dude from Snowfall. Basically was like, his mom, he's from Nigeria, and his mom thought that everything that shows up on TV, we're doing the Unikai Elixir next, everything that shows up on TV is real life. So he's like, the first time he had his first on-scene kiss, she was like, oh, Dempsey, you just gonna kiss another woman in front of the whole family, and your girlfriend sitting right here type thing. You know, so then he gets on to Snowfall, and she's like, "Oh, Dempsey, you're just gonna sell drug? You're a drug dealer now in front of the whole world." You know, so it's like for some people, TV is real life, but for me, it was the possibilities, and I feel like that's important for people to see possibilities, because sometimes when you live inside of you don't know what you don't know that there's anything else. Like we have homeboys who have never left their block until they got older. And it's like really, like your family never traveled outside of the block that you live on. Like that's kind of crazy to me. Wow. Which means like you went to school, like your school was on that block, where you went to grocery shop was on that block, all of your friends and family were on that block, and you didn't necessarily leave that, you know, square footage of space to expand your life or expand your thought process. Which made me grateful that my family did like a lot of traveling when I was young, and to the point of the village, they oftentimes would take me with them. So I got to go a lot of places that I don't even remember, because it was before, you know, well, first off, I could barely remember yesterday, but it was before my you know, my memories of being like, oh, I remember when I was 7 and I did this. Like I traveled a lot when I was really young. And if it weren't for pictures, I might not even remember that I was there. But yeah, so I think that those stories are really important. Talking to your family is really important. Seeing us in certain lights, like I'm waiting, and I know we're gonna get there, but I'm waiting. And there's certain shows. There's a show out now called Alert, I think is the name of it. And basically it's a Lupe. It's a Latina detective, and talking about like, it's like missing persons, right? But there's also a Black woman detective who is heavily involved in like the spiritual world. She can see certain things. She uses, you know, the same tools and things that we use to figure out energy, to figure out what we're dealing with, to put protection, to remove hexes and spells and all that. And they actually treat it in a positive light. She dresses every day, you know, how she has to go to work in her regular stuff. It's not some old, you know, how they always try to make it this mystic gypsy, you know, which is cool. But I feel like it's on Hulu, I believe. Which is cool, but I feel like that's just one representation of what a spiritual person is or what a spiritual person looks like. And oftentimes too, whenever they display somebody, and it happens on like everyday regular shows. The show is called Alert. And it's about like missing, it's like, you know, SVU or like whatever, FBI, like those types of shows, talking about them trying to find missing people. But the main reason why I do like it is, number one, the main character is a Latina woman, and one of the co-stars is a Black woman, who the Black woman uses the tools to help them. Not necessarily so much to help them find the people, but she does it to keep like their space clean, to keep their energy clean, to keep them protected. For their personal lives, she'll use it to help figure out certain stuff and certain things that might be going on. And she does it in a manner that's true to us, instead of it being like on one of the 911 shows I was watching recently. They had like, you know, like a retreat or wherever that they were going to, and they didn't realize they had like the coals for women to walk on hot coals or whatever. And the person who was running the retreat is, you know, they're always so like airy and not like thinking and using common sense, or like they make it seem like these practices are unrealistic, right? So, and I hate that about shows. I hate it. So I'm looking for more shows that actually talk about us in the way that we actually, you know, utilize our stuff and wear our crystals and whatever, and use our sage. And it's not just like, oh, I use the sage to get rid of all the spirits. And it's like, it ain't gotta be all that. Like, you sage your space and, you know, say whatever you got to say to, you know, remove your spirits and say your prayers, your affirmations, your whatever it is that you do. But they always make it seem like this big old, like, you know, and I'm like, cut it out, y'all. Like, it doesn't have to be that. Like, which is why I also feel like a lot of, especially Black people, to the point that we were talking about earlier, tend to shy away from this lifestyle, because it then seems like it conflicts with their religious beliefs. And it does not have to. You can totally believe in whatever God you choose, by whatever name you call them by. Even if, you know, white Jesus is your thing. I'll try to minimize judgment. If that's your thing, you can still utilize crystals. Crystals are in the Bible, and not in no bad form. Like, they use crystals as a way to honor certain people. They use crystals to put them next to certain people's grave sites. They use crystals inside of pieces and as gifts. Maybe one day I'll like run through all of the chapters in the Bible that talks about this. But if they're not, it doesn't go against your religion, or any religion for that matter, to use the gifts from the earth. And however you utilize them, you know, you don't have to idolize them. They're tools. They're literal tools, just like everything else. The same way how you would, I kind of like that shape. The same way how you would use, you know, herbal tea to help heal your throat. That's a tool, you know. Hey, David, what's up, love? You use a tool to help you feel better. So these are the same tools that you would use for that same purpose. You're not like idolizing your herbal tea, you know what I'm saying? Like, so you don't necessarily, and you can, if you do, you do. But my point is that you don't have to, and it's not necessarily a part of the practice in order to be effective. So, do you remember that I needed water? Yes. So keeping those things, you know, in mind, like, it's cool, but it's not, let me make sure I'm doing this part right. It's cool, but it's not a necessary, you know, way to practice. It's not something that's required or mandatory or whatever for you to receive the benefits and the things that you want in your life. And it really bothers me that that's the only depiction. Like, it would be cool to see different varieties and different variations, which is why I said I like the show Alert, because it showcases us in that different manner. And the people around her also, crystals in Aaron's breastplate. Exactly. That's an example. The show also shows the people around her who, even if they don't necessarily practice or don't even fully like believe or whatever, they understand why she's doing it and they accept the protection, right? It's just like, I'm not Christian, but I understand that if my mother-in-law douses me in holy oil, she's doing it with good intent, right? So I'm not going to sit there and be like, no, don't do that, or this isn't blah, 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 blah.
Unless she follows it up with the power of Christ compels.
Shut up.
Splash.
Splash.
The power of Christ compels.
But I understand, and we also use oils in our practices, you know, so it's like how you use the oils and what your intention behind it, to me, is what's most important. This one's gonna be pretty, y'all. So it's cool to, you know, understand the different ways that these practices can look, and it's not always so cookie cutter. It's not, you know, we all don't dress in whites, even though I think it's important to, you know, if you're going to be doing certain things, or if you want to bring about, depending on like how deep into things you want to go, it is important to get into your whites. I personally am opposed to, me personally, like literally NayMarie dressing in white, because of me and white have never been good friends. I grew up with eczema, so everything white that I ever had, and also too, I wasn't the best like when it came to like clothes. I feel like I could eat if I'm in all black, I will never spill anything on me. Love you, baby. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you being here. I feel like I've never spilled anything on me when wearing all black. But as soon as he went to the bathroom, so I'm not even telling him that. But as soon as my behind puts on white, everything that I'm eating becomes all over my clothes. And then also, like I said, I had eczema. So using a lot of oils and shea butters and creams and all kinds of stuff back in the day when I was trying to get my, skin healed, not knowing that healing your skin comes from the foods that you eat. I will repeat that. Healing your skin comes from the foods that you eat. I did not know that, that's what I was supposed to do. But wearing white never worked out for me. Like, I always end up having, it would get stains because I'm wearing a bunch of oils and using a bunch of creams. And I always felt like it was getting dirty faster than anything else. And as well, because, you have eczema, if your skin is shedding faster than most normal people's skin would, she said he lives and learns, then most regular people, that stuff gets on your clothes and it stains your clothes, it gets your clothes darker. So I was anti-whites. And it's still sort of, I just still feel that way in terms of not necessarily needing to wear them. But walking around in your whites is definitely a spiritual and healing practice that's really good, especially if you're trying to cleanse and get your purity on and cleanse out some of the energy that you may be experiencing. Walking around in your whites is absolutely beneficial for that. And it's very beautiful. Black people in all white is a beautiful sight to see, especially like when you have gatherings and things, or when people have all white parties and everybody shows up in their flyest of fly. I love to see it. But yeah, so I would really just love to see more shows that depict what we do in the way that we do it. And so that it's not just, totally witchcraft, which it can be, and I'm A-okay with that. But it's not a monolith. It's not just one thing. Like, we all practice in different ways. Like, y'all see me, when I wear my head wrap, it's not because I'm trying to look like Erykah Badu. If I'm wearing my head wrap, 9 out of 10 is because my hair is not done. If I'm wearing a hat, 9 out of 10 is because my hair is not done, or to a level that I would want to be like, okay, let me just wear my hair out, whatever. But some people wear head wraps to literally protect their hair, because you should be protecting your head. A lot of what we're experiencing and going through, hi Joyelle babes, a lot of what we're experiencing and going through needs to be protected. And a lot of that energy can be geared towards your headspace. It can be geared towards your crown chakra, geared towards your third eye. So people wear, they protect their hair, they protect their crown by wrapping it up. And that is a spiritual practice. But that does not mean that that is the only reason why you can wear your head wrap. So, make sure this is the right one. So, for those who are just joining, we're having a live chat talking about the things that we would like to bring into our lives, and talking about the crystals and herbs and different things, candles, foods that you can utilize to help manifest those things. So if there's something that you're looking to bring into your life, feel free to post it in the comments and we'll chat more about it. But it's good for protection, as far as, wearing your head wrapped. But that, again, doesn't mean that that's the only reason you can wear it. And we call them, even when we say like braids and things, we call it a protective style, right? Because we're protecting our hair. But it also helps to protect our crown as well, which is, we know that braids, shout out to International I Love Braids Day. Braids are a spiritual and cultural practice. Same thing for a twist and all the, locks, all of these other different types of variations of styles. It's a spiritual and protective type of practice that has a very functional use. So even if you don't necessarily practice, you're still getting those benefits because you're utilizing it in a very similar manner. Joyelle said, I think I need to work I need to start wearing my headscarf at work. I think I came in at the right time. Hey, babes, it's always the right time. Spirit got you here when you were supposed to be here. But absolutely, you could most definitely, because you're dealing with a lot of energies at work, right? So you're around a lot of children. You're around a lot of adults who are experiencing energy from different children as well. You might not all experience the same children. You might be around some teachers who have different children in their classes than the children that you have. And then whatever those teachers are bringing on and carrying around with them, they're now, maybe y'all are in the break room or wherever you are, and they're bringing that energy with them. And so you're experiencing a lot of people's energies on a daily basis. So it's definitely important for you to keep your crystals and like your amethyst and whatever close by you. Keep some crystals in your desk if you can, if you have a dedicated desk or a dedicated classroom. Do what you can to, keep your space as protected as you can for you and for them as well. So it's not only about, the babies, or not only about you, it's also about the babies. Keeping that space cleansed for all of you so that you can have productive days. Let me flatten this a bit more. Productive days, productive learning spaces, open spaces for communication so that they can trust and be able to, let you know if something's wrong. Maybe they're experiencing something at home and they need a safe space to be able to tell somebody so that something can be done about it. So yeah, you could definitely use your crystals for all of that. Yvette said, in the beginning, I wore a head wrap because I was having a lazy hair day, but now I cover my hair for protection sometimes. Absolutely. Joyelle said, the energy from adults, I need protection. I feel like the past 3 years of the pandemic has different forces out. Absolutely. How can I protect my work desk? So you can keep tourmaline. So protection pouch has all the goodies. So the protection pouch has, you can keep tourmaline. So I have both raw tourmaline as well as tumbled tourmaline. You can keep black obsidian. This is a raw black obsidian. This is a tumbled black obsidian. You can keep shungite. Shungite is also good for removing the EMF waves and things as well that we experience from our cell phones. As well as hematite is also good for that as well. So this is tumbled hematite and this is a rainbow hematite. You can get any one of these stones or you can get the full pouch. It's up to you. And you can place them in different corners of your room. You can place them in your desk. You could place them over the doorway if there's a ledge and it won't get bothered and won't nobody notice that it's up there, so that the energy is being protected when people walk into the room. You can also keep some howlite near you because howlite is good for reducing the anxiety and also regulating calm, mitigating anger, keeping down the stress levels. So you can keep some anxiety near your desk or in your classroom. Rose quartz is also good for amplifying the love energy, the vibrational energy. And carnelian is good for amplifying the creative energy. So especially in learning spaces, we want those, the brain meats to get all the, the good energy going inside of that space. So that works for you and the babies as well, right? To help you as a teacher with your lessons and them as students to be able to learn effectively in the best way possible. And also to even some lapis is good for communicating because as a teacher, you're doing your best to communicate the lesson as effective as possible so that they can learn to the best of their ability, right? And also helping, so that you're having effective communication for if there are times when, let's say there's a conflict, instead of, something going awry, you can be speaking in your best self in order to resolve that conflict. So lapis is good for that as well. But yeah, these are important tools to keep near you. Depending on your school, if you're allowed to sage your classroom before, and if you can sage in between periods as well. I don't know if that's possible, but depending on your school, if you're allowed to sage your classroom, some schools don't mind it. Other schools have fire regulations, just in case, you know, because obviously you're not leaving your sage on or burning. You're just using it for that time and purpose to cleanse your classroom. You're not leaving it on inside the classroom unless that's something that you can do inside the school that you're, for the teachers who can do it, because there are some teachers who are in similarly minded schools who don't mind them utilizing the healing tools, you know, alternative schools with alternative methods. But yeah, if you can sage out your classroom at the start of the day, that would be great. And if it was even possible to sage in between, also great. And just keeping your energy in your space, you know, as clean as possible. Thank you so much. It's been a crazy school year. I bet. I bet this year in general, Conjure Queen, hey boo, this year in general has been crazy, and everybody has been experiencing things on different levels, which is why we are having these chats, to get everybody as close as possible to using the tools that they need to, you know, manifest what they want, to help protect them in the spaces that they're in, and so that we don't go crazy out in these streets, because that is an everyday possibility. It is something that we all deal with, something that we're all experiencing in some way, shape, or form. It's going to look different for all of us. Some of us might have similar stories, and even those similar stories, there's still going to be certain, you know, different varying forms. Also, to those of you who are just joining, I'm creating live, and feel free to add or ask any questions below about the things that you want to bring into your life. But I'm live creating, and they chose, I started with carnelian. We'll focus as what was a good stone for creativity. So we started with carnelian, and then I gave 5 options of stones. So they chose bloodstone and as the first stone, and now we are working on unakite. So that's, I'm live creating as well. But yeah, so she said, I want a sister circle regularly this year, because this year the energy difference is unmatched. Yeah. Hey, Soul Speak Expressions. Yes. So sister circles are definitely important, and the more I hear people request them, the more I kind of feel like I'm gonna have to produce one. But I've been avoiding it, but I feel like at this point it's becoming unavoidable. I will be at a sister love circle on June 4th that is being hosted by Winky's World and Mama Wise. So that information is on my, actually no, I have to add it.
Is that at Brooklyn Art Cave?
Yes, it's at Brooklyn Art Cave on June 4th, I think, whatever that Friday is. It's there. But I will be there for that. But I do feel like I'll probably, you know, rope in Coco, Earth's Cabinet. I know she's been wanting to do something similar as well. So we'll probably do a circle and get some things started, because we're experiencing a lot of energy lately, and we're going through, you know, I got a reading from Femi. Shout out to Raw Vegan Goddess. And she was just talking about a lot of the energy that we're experiencing right now in general. I follow people like Conjure Queen, and I think it's Kateria knows. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but when I get to NY, I gotta check you out. Yes, love. Or you can just go to my website. So if you need some things, there's all the information that I talk about is there as well. I try to, you know, connect, for those of us who aren't in New York, connect as much as possible. I will be at Nicholas next weekend. My lip is itching. I'll be at Nicholas next weekend, May 4th, that Saturday. And I'll be there May 27th as well for the end of the month. But yeah, we definitely have to get our circles going. We have to get our healing going. And I do feel like it's important for me to do it with Coco because, number one, she gets it. And number two, we're focused on healing in a manner that is whole, right? So when we speak about like holistic, that's what we're talking about. It isn't just for show. It isn't just for shits and giggles. It's literally about healing our mind, body, spirit, our mental. So with Earth's Cabinet, she has amazing teas and actual, even though these are my crystal elixirs, she has actual elixirs that you can take, right? Different teas and things to help heal our bodies, to get us an optimal function and form. And we have to utilize these tools, to the best of our ability. Sometimes, we get lazy. Sometimes, and I won't even say it's lazy. When we're dealing with things, it's easy to be like, oh, I'm feeling lazy. No, you're taking on a lot, right? You're taking on a lot, and with all those things that you're doing, it's making you tired. So you're procrastinating. You're not getting the things done that you might normally get done. You're not showing up in ways that you might normally show up. And it is totally understandable, and it is okay. Like, we do not have to beat ourselves up for that. Show up how you can show up, and show up when you can show up. And those are, doing the best you can to survive and make do inside of this life is really what's important for the right now, until you can thrive and do the things that you want to do 100% all the time. So it's baby steps. Like, everything you do in your life is going to be a step. Like, you're not just gonna, you can say, oh, I want to make $1,000. Okay, well, what steps do you take to make that $1,000? Oh, I want to have a family. Okay, well, what steps do you take in order to have a family? Like, everything, you have to be intentional about the things that you want to bring into your life. You can't just sit up there and hope or wait or even just pray. Like, if you're not putting the action behind it, it's not going to happen in the way that you would want it to happen. Love, I'm gonna get out of this rain. I'll join back in if you're still here. I'll be here. We're only 2 hours into a few hours of when we're going to be here. So feel free to join back in. My nieces who keep me together. I needed this chat today. Thank you, Auntie, so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. But yeah, we experience things on such dramatic levels on everyday life, and if we're not doing the things that we need to keep us protected, keep us healed, it's just going to get worse, and it's going to keep spiraling and spiraling and spiraling until eventually it's out of our control. So it's really important to utilize the tools that we have. And also it's important to prioritize those tools, right? So a lot of times people will say to me, oh, I can't wait to get money. I'm coming to see you first. And I'm like, I feel that and I hear that. But sometimes you have to do what you have to do now to create more benefit. Like, sometimes you have to sacrifice to get the things that you need. And of course, I'm not saying sacrifice and spend your money with me, but I'm saying in general, get the tools that you need to make the things happen in your life that you want to happen. And that sacrifice is also similar to fasting, right? People will go on fast to cleanse their body, but they'll also go on fast as a way to sacrifice for the things that they want to bring into their lives. So it's a sort of meditation as well. This is the Unakite piece that you guys chose. So that's the Unakite. So it's a sort of, you know, fasting is a sort of meditation because you're keeping yourself from participating in certain, let's even say, pleasures or desires or things that you may want, to show that you're willing to give up those things for the things that you want to bring into your life. And for people, food is a fast that they choose to do that. Or you can, you know, choose other, you know, different elements. Your fast can look like whatever it is, like whatever you're fasting from. It doesn't always have to be food. It can be when people take breaks from social media and then they come back and they're like, I don't even know why I was on social media as much as I was. Like, I realized I didn't need it. I realized this, that, and the third. You know, I didn't have to participate inside of this. I didn't have to go to, you know, to be on there all day, every day, or be on these, you know, other engaging in the platforms and spaces that weren't for them. Like, be intentional about your spaces. Like, even on social media, I make sure that as much as I support a lot of pages, I'm intentional because I have multiple social media pages because I have multiple businesses, but I make sure that on my Adorned In Taji page, because this page is spiritual for me, that I'm keeping it as spiritual as possible. Like the pages that I follow, the things that I'm in, the people who are giving me info, the people who are motivating me, I'm making sure that it's not garbage, you know. When I come on this page, generally the first thing I see is somebody's affirmation or somebody's positive thing that has happened to them in their life, which I love to see it. I love to see y'all doing well. Like, you have no idea how much I love to see y'all doing well. And it's motivation for me to be like, you know, what are the things that I want to work on right now to bring about whatever I want into my life? Like, ooh, somebody went on a trip. Oh, they went to Bali. I would love to go to Bali right now. How can I make going to Bali, you know, something that I can do in my life? How can we experience, you know, multiple things together? Like, how do we keep that community and that tribe? Y'all know y'all my tribe. How do we keep that tribe life alive? So I try to keep my spaces as positive as possible on these platforms so that when I am on here, because I'm on here for business purposes, obviously, but I'm also here to connect with, you know, long distance friends, people who I can't get to see all the time, people who our schedules don't link up so that I can't see them, even the ones who live close by. You know, we're adults and a lot of us have families and kids and careers and lives, you know, so you don't always have syncing schedules. Even if you're trying to make the time, you don't always have syncing schedules just to make those things work. So social media is great to keep that going, you know, to keep that connection going. Turquoise, mahogany, obsidian, or chrysocolla? Turquoise. Okay. Hi, loves. Thank y'all for checking in. For the people who are just tuning in, we're doing live chats and be on here for a while. Auntie Joya might have left, but yes, she's located in New York. She said she would be back if she, you know, if she can make it back on later. But yeah, she's located in New York. So we're doing live chats. We're talking about the things that we want to welcome into our lives: wellness, crystals, healing. If there is something specific that you're looking to bring into your life, post it down in the chat and we'll talk about the different crystals. And I said I was going to talk about color coding. Excuse me. But the different crystals and color coding things, tools that you can use to bring that into your life. So for those of you who are already on the newsletter tribe, you already know how often I talk about the universe basically color coded everything for us to make life easier for us, right? Already happened. All we have to do is basically follow the color code guides, right? So earlier, the One World Focus asked about what's good for creativity. And it just so happened to be that I had sent out, for those who are on the newsletter tribe earlier today, an email about your sacral chakra, right? So your sacral chakra or sacral chakra is located below your navel. And that controls your energy space, right? So inside of it controlling, or your creative space. So that's where we create life. That's where we are creative in the things that we do, that we make, and the things that we think about. I was like, what the hell was that? The things that we do, the things that we think about. It's our sexual vibrancy, right, inside of that space. So if you're working on your sacral chakra, then you want to eat the foods that benefit your sacral chakra. You want to use the crystals, such as carnelian, that benefits your sacral chakra. You want to light your orange candles. You want to, use cinnamon in your rituals or on your altar.
Did not know that.
But yeah, so those are the things that, you can do when you're healing yourself. And it goes beyond just the, just using one level of tool. Like, we have multiple tools at our disposal. So even if you don't have crystals in your life right now, it doesn't mean that you can't start. Even if you don't have, herbs in your cabinet right now, it doesn't mean that you can't start with what you do have. And then obviously being intentional about acquiring these things. And they're not always going to break the bank. So that's another thing that you don't necessarily have to worry about. Sometimes, yes, sometimes crystals can be expensive. Like, these elixirs are $60, and not that $60 is expensive, because it's definitely not for these type of jewels. But to the point of, if you don't have $60 in the moment, but you're still wondering what you can do, you can just purchase a single crystal from my shop. And, okay, making sure I'm getting this right. Purchase a single crystal from my shop, and that will still benefit you in the same way that having the elixir does, and keep that, on your body or on your altar in your spaces. Or if you prefer to wear it on you every day, like, I have my crystal cube that I generally wear every day. That's when you can have a piece, have it done in jewelry. And I create jewelry that's comes in all forms. So, you can have your wristwear, you can have your neck pieces, you can have your earrings. I do lip cups, nose cups. I'm a whisper waist beads. Do not get excited. I do them by request only. I create custom crowns and things like that. So, and then also I sell, the crystal pouches. So you can have a pouch that's dedicated for you that has the crystals that you need in your life. Whether you want a pouch that's already formulated, that like a protection pouch, or if you're like, I need these specific. I had a person who said they were dealing with COPD, which is, it affects your lungs. So I created a custom pouch for them that also came with, it's over here somewhere, with the cleansing bundle that has the white sage, the Palo Santo, and the selenite wands. And that pouch also included chrysocolla and bloodstone and things that work with your heart chakra, and as well as cleansing your blood and healing your lungs. So they were able to use those crystals and the cleansing bundle, which I also warned, obviously, if you're dealing with something that has to do with your lungs, be mindful of when you're using products with smoke. So if you are having trouble breathing, you're not going to add smoke to your life. Like, it's not going to benefit you in that manner. And or smoke out your place, but leave your windows open, which is what you should be doing if you're saging. After you sage, the sage has to go out somewhere. So you would generally start from the back portion of the room and work your way towards the door. so that you're either letting it out the door or out the window, depending on where you live. If you live in an apartment space or something like that, where you don't want to just keep your door open, or you don't have like, a backyard or whatever it is that you can't just keep your door open, open your windows and then sage your space, let the air out, that energy out through your windows. Saging your space and keeping your windows and doors and things closed, it's just like the energies are just kind of running around and away from you to get away from the smoke, but there's nowhere for them to escape to if you're just keeping your windows and doors and things locked. But yeah, so those are, the tools that you have at your disposal that you can use, and you don't necessarily have to wait, to utilize those tools. One of the key tools that you can use is water. You use water to cleanse your crystals. You use water just like I did just now, because I'm using my throat chakra in abundance today. So I'm using water to help heal my throat chakra while we're having our conversation, and to be able to, keep the conversation going, because if my throat gets dry, eventually I would have to stop talking. But in order to keep the conversation going and to keep it flowing, I'm using water to help heal my throat chakra. You can also, water is also good for your sacral chakra. So like sitting in water, taking spiritual baths, going out to the beach, going out to the ocean, immersing or submerging your body inside of water is beautiful for that space. That's also why your babies, they're born, they're sitting in those liquid fluids inside of your body, but also why it's good to have water births. Sacral chakra inside that space. So you can benefit from, the things that are already like inside your home, and start there and then grow. I didn't have all of these crystals when I started. I had Ladies of Wisdom, thank you for checking in, my love. I didn't have all of these crystals when I started, but over time, you best believe somebody went and got all the crystals. And for me, I love them. I always say I love the shiny, right? So I love tumbled stones, but then I also grew an affinity for raw stones as well, just because of how beautiful they are and just the purpose of them. Ladies of Wisdom said, do long showers count? Absolutely. You're still submerging yourself in water, right? So even think if you were on a trip and you were standing under a waterfall, that's essentially what a shower is. It's you're being rained upon, right, with water. Standing out in the rain is also a very cleansing experience. So yes, it absolutely does count. And that's why a lot of people will use the eucalyptus and hang it in their shower. That's beneficial. You can do the same thing. Even when you're in the bathroom, you can burn your incense, use your essential oils while you're in the shower. If you're taking even if you're taking a short shower, it's still, it helps, when we're cleansing ourselves, we feel better, like we're getting the ick off, right? So that's cleansing away, whatever energies or whatever we're experiencing as well. So even if you're taking a 15-minute shower, you could still have your essential oils burning. You can still have your incense burning. All of that is still going to affect you and affect your mood and increase your endorphins to bring you into a neutral or a positive vibrating space. You can also have your crystals in the bathroom with you as well. Keep them, in a little bowl, particularly the ones that aren't affected by water. A lot of the ites aren't good for water, and that's in their raw form, which I think we need to start specifying, because a lot of times people will just say you shouldn't use, shouldn't submerge the ites, selenite, calcite, malachite, all the ites, the ones that end in ITE. You shouldn't submerge them in water, but that's a lot of times specific for the raw form. Because sometimes when they're tumbled and polished, right? So if it's polished, it has protection over it. So it's not 100% for all crystals that end in "ite." But in general, don't put those crystals in water because they're porous and it can affect and ruin your crystals. But again, some crystals were, what does Bane say?
I was born in it.
Yes,
Molded in it.
exactly. So, some crystals were born in the dark. Some crystals were molded inside of water. Some crystals were fused inside of the earth using water and the heat of the crust of the earth. So they're cool with that, and those tend to be like my favorite babies because I feel like that's me too. I like the heat. I like the water. I need to learn how to swim. Somebody want to teach me how to swim? That's my goal. That's my goal. I want to learn how to swim. But yeah, so absolutely use the things that are already at your disposal. And then add on when you can and as you can, right? So as you're experiencing more abundance in your life because you're doing the work, because you're doing the healing, because you're focused on whatever it is that you're looking to bring into your life, you can then, you'll start to see the prosperity from that, right? You'll start experiencing the good and not so much of always just the hardship. And so when things are starting to get better, use that time to amplify what you have at your disposal so that it's not just, maybe the one thing that you're always doing before. Or if you're going, grocery shopping, understand that the foods that you eat are detrimental to not only your body, but your spirit. The things that we ingest heavily affect our emotions. It heavily affects our brain. It heavily affects our skin. It heavily affects how we react to things. So if you're constantly eating processed food, fast food, fried foods, and then wondering why you're always sad and depressed, it's because those are the things that you're putting into your body. That includes dead foods. I'm not opposed to meat eaters, but understand that if you're constantly feeding your body with dead things, there is no living form for growth, right? So, and obviously that goes for cooking foods like that just because you're vegan doesn't mean that you're always healthy either, which is why we follow more of a plant-based lifestyle and try to incorporate raw foods. The one will focus is better at it than I am, but because I don't like cold food, but I can eat certain raw foods. Like he does the thing where he'll chop up Brussels sprouts for us, and he'll add like oils and pepper and sea salt and whatever, and it tastes great. And then I like raw carrots, and then obviously there's a tons of fruits that you can eat. So whatever it is that you can do for you that is just starting, to make the small changes, right? And that even goes for when you're not feeling well. Do the small things that you can do to get yourself to feel better until you can do the larger things. You might not always be able to go on that big trip right now, right away, that, you've been wanting to go to or have been planning on. So in the meantime, go on a local trip. Go to the botanical gardens on a day that it's free or something like that. Go to a park nearby you that you don't have to pay to get into. You know what I'm saying? Like, this world has the tools that we need, even in spaces and times when we may not have the resources to do the bigger, larger things. So yeah, yes, to the sprouts. Thank you. Those are like my favorite vegetables that I try to eat like almost every day. So the things that we need are around us. Getting outside, which I know in the wintertime is very hard for us because especially those of us on the northern East Coast, or in the north in general, because even on the West Coast, if you're up there, they experience the same kind of winters as we do. That's why they have snow in California. But experience the sun. We need the sun. Black people need the sun. And no, you do not always have to wear layers and layers and layers of sunscreen because we have melanin. Our skin is not their skin. Let's be very clear about that. Our skin is not their skin. Can Black people get skin cancer? Yes, we can. Do we get it at the same rate? Not nearly. So do not let them tell you that you cannot be out in the sun. The sun is beneficial to us. The sun makes us happy. We are sun babies. Shout out to little sun people. So yes, go out and experience the sun. Protect your skin and protect yourself as you feel that you need to. But go out and experience the sun. It will make you happier. It will make you feel better. Especially if you're feeling down, go sit in the park. When you can and where you can, take your shoes off and walk in the grass. Get grounded. It makes you feel better. We walk around with our shoes on all the time, and we do not experience the ground like we should. The ground is healing. It also keeps us grounded. Yes, some babies, see? It keeps us grounded, right? So walking around outside in the grass, not necessarily on the concrete or on these dirty New York streets for those of us who are inside of these city livings. The elements are there. You know, again, if it does rain, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. You can go outside and experience the rain. Wear whatever clothes you don't mind getting wet and go outside and be in the rain. And then come back in, take them clothes off, dry them out, then put them in the laundry, wash them later. But experience the rain. It is okay to get rained on. It is okay to get washed over. Go out and get some fresh air. Even in the wintertime. I know it's cold as hell in New York, but that fresh air is still beneficial to you. Notice how your body changes, especially when you're home and you're inside all the time, and you then go outside. Recognize how your body feels different when you take in that air. Sometimes it's even triggering to your body because it's like it'll like throw you in shock because you're taking in that cool air that you haven't experienced or that haven't been exposed to for so long. It can be triggering and it can be shocking. But yeah, go experience the elements. Go use the foods and things that you can, and to the best of your ability, do the things that you can to get you to a space that you need to be and where you want to be. It's not always going to look how you may want it to, and that's okay. Do what you can. Do what you can with what you have. And to me, I feel like that's the most important key part, is doing what you can with what you have in the meantime. Come on now, Cup. And not comparing, what your journey is to somebody else's journey, because it's not going to look the same. It's not supposed to look the same. We're not all supposed to walk the same path or experience the same life or whatever. We are different spirits, all experiencing this physical plane, but it's going to look different for most of us. Yes, some stories may be similar, but for the most part, we're going to experience it differently. And even the stories that might be similar will still have some different variations, some different tones, some different colors, It's not always going to be the same exact story, because we're all spirits learning differently. We're here on this plane for different reasons. We're here fulfilling different destinies. Our stories are going to be different. And that is A-okay. It is A-okay. It's just important to find your tribe, right? Find those people who are vibrating as close to you as possible, who are looking to elevate you, who are looking to elevate themselves. And get the fun going. Because to me, I feel like that's like the best part of this whole experience, is finding the people who you vibe with the most. The people who, when life starts to get a little crazy, you can call on them. And you can share your stories, share your funny times, share your sad times, share your down times. And they'll be there to encourage you through it all. right? Oh, wow. It went all the way back down to the comments. Okay, yes. Yes, find your tribe and they will assist you. It is so very true. I always think back about my mom and how I was raised, right? So my dad was in my life, but he wasn't 100% helpful, or as much as she probably would have needed him to be during that time. But I still had everybody else. I had my grandparents, I had my aunts, I had my uncles. I had her friends who are like my aunts and uncles. I had his friends who are like my aunts and uncles, you know, who I call auntie and uncle. I had my godparents. And I said previously on this live that I experienced a lot of examples of Black love, or at least what looked to be, you know, because we never know, especially when you're a child. You just can only assume based on, you know, what you see that something is that thing. So I experienced a lot of Black love and examples of it. And my mom had a tribe to call on if my dad wasn't available to look after me. And obviously she had to work. She had to make sure that we were eating and that food was kept on the table during the times that he wasn't available to fill that role. And in doing so, she had to call on who she had to call on. No, not the Ghostbusters. But that was her tribe. And me experiencing those people, it taught me a lot. It taught me how to deal with different personalities. It taught me about the personalities that I gravitated towards. I found out that I liked hanging out with my uncles because they were very chill. They were very cool. They didn't necessarily care. Like, I feel like women tend to uphold what's the word? But kind of like there's like a personality block, right? Where they want to be seen a certain way. Versus men are just kind of like, well, this is it. This is what you're going to get. I'm me. And I always appreciated that. I always appreciated that authenticity from my uncles, right? It wasn't like they didn't send me out of the room when they were talking. You know, if anything, they might kind of be like, you know, bro, chill, like whatever. But it was never, I never felt like, they never made me feel like I was a child or I had to stay in a child's place. Like, I always felt like that came from the matriarchs versus the men were just like, this is it, this is it, blah, 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 blah. And so it taught me about the kind of men that I liked being around. It taught me the kind of men that I would want in my life when I was growing up. It taught me about the kind of man that I would want, you know, to be my man and to, hey boo, and, you know, to marry and to build a life and a family with. And so I feel like tribe is definitely important, right? Because it also teaches you what you don't like. As much as it teaches you what you do like, it teaches you what you don't like. And you're going to have those people who are going to be mirrors of your parents in the sense of, you know, they're, you know, my aunts and my uncles and whatever, they grew up with the same parents. So a lot of their thought processes might be the same. But then you're going to have those people who have different experiences, right? So you know how some people have that aunt or uncle who is, for lack of a better word, the black sheep of the family, right? And because you also kind of feel like an outcast, that's the aunt and uncle that you gravitate towards, right? So you'll have these different personalities that you experience that, you know, teach you about yourself and allow you to see like, okay, I think this is cool. That's not cool. This person treated this person this way and I didn't like that and I don't want this for my life. Like having a tribe really teaches you the different personalities that exist, and it allows you to then experience for yourself, okay, these are the kind of friends that I want to keep around me, you know. And when certain people aren't treating you a certain way that you would prefer to be treated, knowing that, these other people, these other possibilities exist, can allow you to look for those possibilities in those people. And so that you know that you don't have to deal with people who don't treat you right. You don't have to deal with people who don't support you. You don't have to deal with people who are always negative or always in your business or always trying to spread your business, or people who pretend to be, you know, looking out for your best interests. You can start to tell, to see. And it also teaches you from a young age to follow your gut and follow your spirit. Now, whether or not you do that is a whole different story. But these are the things that we start to learn when we have more tribe. The more you're experienced to, the more you're exposed to, the more information you have, right? The more information you have to make these choices, to do this deciphering. Like, I remember there was this girl when I was in grade school, and, you know, we were cool. It was cordial. I was cordial with everybody in grade school, and this was like 7th and 8th grade. And one day out the blue, she just lied on me to the whole class and said that I said a bunch of stuff that I didn't say about people who I was like really cool with. And one person in particular, like there was like a squad of 4 of them. And one person in particular out of that squad, she said I called her like a really derogatory name, which I would have never. Like, I really actually, she was one of the few people that I considered a friend at that school. And I was so heartbroken, and I was heartbroken at the way the friend looked at me when she thought that I actually said it, because she looked hurt, you know, versus other people who she also said that I said things about, who were just kind of like, you know, like, oh, you said that about me or whatever. But that person looked genuinely hurt. Like, how could you say that about me? Like, we traveled together every single day, which obviously she should have known, like, enough about me to know that that wouldn't have been me. But it helped me decipher from that girl, the girl who lied on me. I knew that we weren't friends. And I also feel like that was a part of why she did it. There were some bits of jealousy lined up in there that later on she basically just said that she did it because she felt like I came to the school, because I was only at that school for 7th and 8th grade. But she said I came to the school and I took somebody else's best friend or something like that. And in my head, I was like, I didn't do anything. Like, somebody gravitates towards me. That's their own, you know, my aura and their pull, right? So I wasn't intentionally, I've never been a intentionally deceitful or malicious person. So the best friend that gravitated towards me. I didn't even know that the other person was her best friend before me, you know? So it was just like, there could have never been an intent on my part to separate them or to do anything blase, blase, blah. But that girl, for whatever reason and whatever in her spirit made her feel a kind of way about it, lied on me and said, you know, I said all these things about these people, and then eventually came out and was like, you know, she just did it, like admitted that she lied and said that she did it because she didn't like the fact that I stole somebody's best friend. And of course, we know, especially from social media now, which thank goodness we didn't have social media then. But once you say something about somebody, that's it. It's hard to recover from lies that have been told about you. So my relationships with those people, even after them knowing it was lies, it wasn't like something that we really just like bounced back from or recovered from. But I could tell from dealing with the people that I dealt with in my life, I knew that girl's spirit, and I knew that that girl's spirit wasn't aligned with mine, and which is why we were never friends. And like I said, it was cordial because I've never been the kind of person to not, you know, to just be mean or not like say hi or what up or whatever. But I always knew that of the people that she hung with, she was my least favorite. So because I had tribe in my life, because I dealt with so many personalities growing up, I was able to decipher quicker than most probably would the types of people who aren't for me. And for me, that was a big benefit in terms of protecting myself, protecting my spirit, protecting the people around me. And And knowing that, like, it's cool, like, it's a-okay not to have certain people and certain energy surrounding you. Like, it is perfectly fine to be like, this person is not for me. And I do think that is something that we need to teach our children as well. You're not going to be friends with everybody, and that's okay. That is okay. You do not have to be friends with everybody, and everybody does not have to be friends with you, right? And letting them know that if they're dealing with certain things, if they're feeling a certain way about certain things, it is okay to express those feelings. It is okay to discover how to properly and effectively communicate, which is what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about using lapis for effective communication, especially in schools and in places where children are learning or where children reside. Because oftentimes I feel like children don't feel like they have safe spaces to speak. They don't feel like, you know, like I said, children are often told to stay in a child's place. And that stunts their growth. That stunts their learning. It stunts their communication, because you're now basically telling them to shut up and wait until I tell you you're allowed to talk. And that's not cool. And a lot of times the children that we experience when people are like, oh, such and such is bad, which calling children bad in and of itself is bad. When, you know, you say a child is bad, it's like, well, what is that child experiencing that's making them react in this manner? What is their day-to-day life like? Who's not listening to them in their home life, you know? Who's stifling their growth in some other capacity? And I'm going to make this one go up this way. Generally, and we call it acting out for a reason, right? Because generally they're experiencing something that, number one, doesn't make sense to them, or that they feel like is unfair. So now they're quote unquote acting out. And the reason that they're doing that is because they're looking for something to make sense to them, right? Either that, or maybe they need attention. There's some lack somewhere that's causing this this reaction. There's some level of lack. So whether it's at home, whether it's in school, whether it's in their social groups, somewhere something is missing. Or where they feel like they need to be a certain person, or they want to be a certain person, they want something to happen inside of their life, and for whatever reason, they're not experiencing that. So it's causing certain levels of behavior. And I think as adults, it's our job to communicate effectively with children and figure that out. So here is the turquoise. We are chatting live and creating. So we started with the One Will Focus, who started with his question of what's a good stone for creativity. So we started out with making the carnelian piece, and then I gave 5 options of stones to then work with next. So we did bloodstone, unakite, and now we just did turquoise. Thank you, my loves. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And next up, I will probably do, we had 2 left, so it was chrysocolla and mahogany obsidian. So I think I'll do the mahogany obsidian, and then I'll do the chrysocolla. But yeah, so it's important to speak with our children. You know, Whitney Houston told us that. What? She did. Teach them well and let them lead the way, okay? Like, come on now. She told us. But I feel like we don't listen to children. And a lot of times, children have such logical and basic approaches to life that even as adults, it's really important to listen to their thought process, because it can bring us back to a certain level of neutrality as well, right? Because you have to keep in mind, the older we get, the more we experience. Yes, hopefully, anyway, the wiser we become. But it also tends to take us away from basic logical thinking, right? Because we're dealing with so much that's going on. So much conditioning that we're experiencing throughout our lifetimes, and especially as adults. So many things that we're being told and taught that we have to do, right? Literally had to sing that a lot. Okay, it's hard for me to see the words because of my shirt. Literally had to sing that every day in elementary school like it was the national anthem. It should be. Like, come on. It literally should be the national anthem. But yes, like, you know, we sort of always put our children in these little boxy bubbles of, number one, what adults think they should be, which is whack, because you're stifling their creative juices and the things that they want to do. How many kids could follow their passion if there wasn't some adult telling them what they should do? How many of us would have been doing what we're doing now a long time ago had it not have been for somebody telling us we need to go to school and get a job? Right? How many of us would have been, or how many people, you hear these stories of people who are like, I was always a singer, I was always a dancer, I was always a creative, I was always good with my hands, I was always, a technical engineer, I was always a mechanic, whatever it was, right? I love taking things apart and building them and putting them back together. I love problem solving. I love numbers. But then somewhere along the lines, someone stifled their creativity. Someone stifled the things that they love to do and told them that they needed to focus on something else, or that they should be focused on something else, right? And understandable that in this society, we have to live, we have to eat. And that is because you have to fill your basic needs, right? You need food, shelter, and quote unquote clothing. You don't need clothing, but it's a part of a society standard to wear it. So you need food, shelter, and clothing. And so for a lot of people, when they have, you want especially when you have a child, you want the best for your child. You want your child to have everything, and for them not to experience any of the hardship and the pain and anything. If you're a decent parent, these are the basics you should really want for your child, right? For them not to experience any pain or any hardship or anything that you may have experienced, or that that is possible out there in the world, right? But then at that same time, while we're forcing our children to be doctors and lawyers and thinking that they need to be CEOs and heads of companies and things that don't benefit or don't speak to their spirit, you're stifling that person. And now for some of us, it's good to have these experiences, right? Like I said previously on this live, I worked different jobs and I did retail and worked at restaurants and all this other type of stuff, which it taught me, and obviously I went to college, and it taught me how to, again, read people, right? Because when you're working in retail, if you're good at your retail job, especially if you had a retail job where you're working in commission, you learn to read people. You deal with adversity and managers and authority and all these other types of things that come along with that scenario that teaches you, number one, the things that you don't want to put up with and that you won't put up with. And then it also teaches you the kind of person that you don't want to be, right? So I worked at Crunch Fitness for 3 years. I was a manager there. And my general manager taught me about the manager that I didn't want to be. She was the prime example of the kind of manager that I would not want to be. She was 1,000% effective at problem solving. Like, I had never seen a woman more quick on her feet, off the top when it comes to problem solving, when things were just, because when you work in these spaces, you realize that things go to shit real fast, right? And you can't just call corporate, because corporate is useless. And if anything, corporate is looking at you like, why didn't you fix whatever the problem was, right? So she was extremely fast on her feet, which is probably one of the only real positives that I have. That, and she brought in hearing impaired workers who, you know, they use ASL to communicate, which taught us a lot about their community and taught us a little bit of ASL as well. But outside of those two things, she was a horrible person for me. Our personalities did not match in order for us to be working together. So yes, those experiences can be beneficial in that sense, because you get to learn the kind of person that you are, maybe the kind of person that you don't want to be. Again, dealing with more personalities teaches you how to deal and maintain relationships in your life. But it also, oh no, where did my stone just go? Hold on, y'all, I gotta go find my stone. I'll be back. I feel like for a lot of these things that we're doing and experiencing, they're good testaments, you know, to our lives and the things that we're, you know, they make for good stories, right? Because even me saying, like, I worked with this person and it taught me whatever. And those are great life lessons. But how many of us could be living fuller, happier lives from the start, you know, fulfilling our purpose, if we were following in the things that we wanted to do from the beginning? And life is going to find a way to life. It's not like we're not still going to experience different hardships, different, you know, life lessons. Life is going to life no matter what. But we might be able to skip through some of the BS if we're getting more towards where we want from the beginning. You know, if we're being encouraged to do the things that make us happy from the beginning. And so I feel like for me, that's an ideal direction for society, is for us to be focused on that path instead of you know, telling people that they need to work this profession or that they should go into this profession. Because how many doctors are doctors and they suck at it, you know? What's up, self-detached? What's up, love? How many people are doctors and they suck at it? Like, they have no, as we like to say, bedside manner. Some people just do what they are told, you know. They're taught that, especially in big pharma, to give you all of these medicines and things to quote unquote heal you, but that might not be what you need for your body. I'm a prime example. I was on every type of medication you could think of, every steroidal cream, every pill that they could come up with to cure my eczema, but really all I needed to do was change my diet. And not a nan doctor ever said, sis, change your diet. One doctor, which after Will had already said, what about you never taking any medicine ever again? Which at the time sounded asinine to me. But one doctor said to me also, she said, what about you just not taking, you know, what about you going off the medication? And what I didn't know at the time was that my body had to go through withdrawal, right? So them telling me to go off the medication to me was like, no, every time I stop using the medication, my skin gets worse. But my body had to go through withdrawal, and withdrawal obviously looks and feels horrible before it can feel better, right? And I did not know that at the time. But I have all these doctors trying to pump me up with everything that they could think of to quote unquote heal my skin, instead of doing what I eventually did, which was changing my diet. Nobody was telling me that. As far as the doctors were concerned. Because like I said, I had Will telling me, you know, like, what if we did this? What if we did that? Thank goodness he's a very proactive partner. But we go into these professions that aren't necessarily meant to give us any kind of purpose, you know. And how many times do you see people who have these professions or where they're making tons of money and they completely just up and leave, and other people are so confused Because, you know, when you're in the struggle and when you're trying to figure out life, you can't fathom how the hell could somebody who's making so much money just up and leave something that's, you know, so stable and whatever. But it's like, that's because they weren't passionate about it. It didn't make them happy. Yes, they could do it. Yes, they had the skills for it. Yes, they learned how to do it, but it wasn't what they were meant to be doing. So that's why they up and chose to, you know, uproot their life or move away or leave this country or do other professions, because these things aren't benefiting our soul. It's not benefiting our spirit. And eventually spirit is going to force you into something that is, one way or the other, you know? So thank you to everybody who's just joining. We are doing live chat. So if there are things that you're looking to bring into your life, post it down in the chat. We are talking about crystals and the way that the universe has color-coded everything for us to make it easier for us to survive and utilize the tools that we have at our disposal, and what other tools we might be able to add to the arsenal. But yeah, you know, so we don't have to necessarily just follow these blanket paths that people sort of choose for us because they think that's what's best for us. Imagine if somebody actually listened and said, you know, I want to be this. And somebody said, that's amazing. Let's do everything we can to make you that. Imagine how powerful that is, right? Because that's an affirmation in and of itself. So by you saying, I want to be this thing and I'm going to be this thing is an affirmation. And then you're going to do the work to make that thing happen, right? And having somebody also help you benefits you, or believe in you even if they're not helping you. Sometimes just somebody believing in the fact that you can do this thing that you want to do makes all of the difference. Versus those of us who had to start, you know, with all of the negative Nancy's in our ear. Everybody basically saying, oh, why would you do that? Why you're going to quit that job to do this? Oh, you're not going to have any stability. You're not going to do da-da-da-da. You hear all the negative things before you hear the positive things when you're trying to follow your passion. And that can be so discouraging. It can be so discouraging. And then now you're listening to these other people that you allowed to get into your head, and you've taken 10 steps away from your passion when you was just right there. You was right there at the doorstep of your passion, and you just walked away from it. And eventually you're going to get back there, you know, hopefully. But instead of being that much closer, you're now so many more steps back. And it's going to feel even harder, you know, especially as you get older in life, because that's when your lives and you're focused on things like your family, and you're focused on how to eat and how to survive. And now you're could be mentally in competition with your peers or whatever it is, to feel like, you know, how did these people get this kind of lifestyle and I'm struggling and I can't make it happen and I can't make a way for myself. It's going to be even harder to follow your passions at that point in your life, because there won't be that stability there. There won't be that, you know, you won't have figured it out already like you would have had you started from when you were younger. So, hey, y'all. I appreciate y'all checking in. All the waves and the hearts. There won't be that stability there to, and that confidence to really feel like you could just go forth and accomplish all your goals and dreams. So I think it's important for us to encourage each other, but this started about encouraging children and giving them the tools that they need to live their best lives, and giving them that space, right? That space, that opportunity, listening to them, allowing them to talk, even if they're going to put their foot in their mouth. Allowing them to talk, allowing them to make mistakes, allowing them to learn from those mistakes. But yeah, so Thank y'all for joining in today. We are talking about bringing things into our lives and what tools we can use to do so. So if there's something that you're looking to manifest into your life, post it down in the comments and we'll talk more about what tools can be used to manifest amazingness. But yeah, you know, I think it's important to keep lines of communication open. Like, it is detrimental to our happiness. How many times have we, you know, been stifled or been told not to say something, not to do something, not to be a certain way, not to act a certain way, not to do certain things? But then nobody ever asks, like, why? Why do we want to do those certain things? Why are we this way? It's just really a societal sort of foothold on us that tells us we can't be our truest, fullest, best selves at all times. And that's whack. That's whack to me. And I definitely think that it's whack because I experienced it, right? Even from my own family, when I first was like, when I got laid off from Crunch, because that's what happened. They were downsizing the company and I made the most money per hour, but also worked the least amount of hours per week, because at that point, like I said, me and my manager were at odds at all times. So I wasn't trying to be there. I was trying to be there enough to pay my rent and cover my bills and eat and, you know, maybe hang out as much as I could. But I was not trying to be there to, like, fully make income or make the place better or whatever. I was there because it was a paycheck. And I enjoyed the job. Like, I just didn't enjoy my manager. She made it a completely miserable experience whenever she was in the building. Or my general manager, I should say, because I was a manager. And so thankfully she didn't have to be there for all of my shifts or all of my hours, but the time that she was, horrible. But I got laid off because I worked the least amount of hours and I made the most per hour. So it was easy to get rid of me first. And also, again, we weren't cool. We were at odds. And I said I didn't want to work anywhere else ever again. And at that point in time, I also thankfully had a partner. Shout out to the one Will Focus. Who said, cool. There was no argument. There was no fight. He also had entrepreneurial spirit. So what happened first? Did I get laid off first or did you quit first?
I quit on my BlackBerry.
Okay. So he had already started the F y'all journey because he quit on his BlackBerry from his hedge fund job. And when I told him, you know, and I knew it was coming up. I could sense it. And this is what I be talking about with spirit. Like, listen to your body. It talks to you. Every time I walked into that place, I felt mildly sick. Every time I saw her, I felt actually sick, you know? And I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was coming. I didn't know when, but I told him. I said, be prepared. I was like, one day I'm going to walk in here and I'm going to say I don't have a job anymore. And one day I called him and I was laughing. Like, you would think that I would be more, you know, heartbroken, petrified, scared, but I was laughing. I was like, well, this was it. But by then we had also started our entrepreneurial journey. We were doing events. Basically getting ourselves out there, you know, in that realm of that community. We were doing events, event production, and all of the people who I worked with, because we had an event coming up, which was for my birthday, because I got fired like 3 days before my birthday, which is kind of wild. But we were already doing event production, and everybody was like, oh, we'll see you in a few days at the event, whatever, which I was like, okay, cool. Again, less sweat off of my back, because there was a mild plan in place. It hadn't fully come to fruition. It wasn't where I needed it or wanted it to be at the time, but it was like we were already starting to do our own thing, to build our own empires and our own legacies. And nonetheless, I had family members who were like, well, when you going to get a job? When you going to do this? When you going to do that? How you going to survive? How you going to eat? And I understand those worries, but that wasn't what I needed to hear at that time. I didn't need to hear, nose keeps itching. I didn't need to hear, how are you going to eat? How are you going to get a job? How are you going to do whatever? I needed to hear, you got this. If is there some way that I can support you, even if it's not financially, that, can make your journey easier, that I can be a part of, maybe the process for you to making it an easier transition for you. Even if it was just advice or whatever the case may be. But what I didn't need to hear was the worry, the stress, and the strain. And so I feel like we need to think about that when people are looking to embark on certain journeys, and being mindful of the support that they need while doing so. It wasn't helpful to me, and if anything, it was discouraging, right? Because now I'm feeling like, well, damn, maybe I can't do it. Maybe this is crazy. And even though I knew, again, my spirit was speaking to me, and it was saying, you don't want to work for anybody else. And as a matter of fact, I knew that from when I was young. Because for those of you who were on this live, we've been talking since 1 o'clock. For those of you who were on this live earlier, I spoke about how my grandfather spoke entrepreneurship into me from when I was young. And I knew I didn't want to work for anybody. Him and my grandmother owned their own travel agency that they eventually turned into an art gallery full of like beautiful African inspired art from their trips and things that they had went to. Love you. I was like, where the hell you going? I forgot. No, come back. But yeah, so he spoke entrepreneurship into me from a young age. But by this time, he had passed away. He passed away when I was in high school. So there was nobody speaking that into me in the same manner. I just had to, go off those memories that I had. And it would have been so much more conducive to my journey to have somebody to say, hey, you got this. Don't worry about it. You're amazing at this. Anything you put your mind to, you can do. And all those positive things that we say as affirmations now that we're older, I could have been saying way back from when I was in my teens and my 20s. Which is why I'm thankful for the internet, because people will be able to find their tribes and find people who encourage them. Younger people will be able to do so from a younger age. So even if their family doesn't necessarily support, they might be able to find tribes quicker. Thankfully for me, like I said earlier, I went to Howard University. So I had a tribe of people who supported me and my businesses, because I have plural, there's multiple of them, who supported me in my businesses, and who still to this day, support me in the things that I do, and are always rooting for me and always looking out for me. But imagine if that came from my family as well, which is why I say, your chosen tribe is just as important as your blood tribe, because not all the time will your blood tribe be the ones who are rooting for you. And a lot of that comes because, they're worried for you, which is cool. I get it. But again, it might not be helpful for you in your journey. Like, that worry could be more of a distraction than a benefit. So we're going to cut it a little bit more from that one. That distraction could be more of a worry than a benefit. And or even that disbelief, right? Because maybe they're just worried about how you're going to survive and how you're going to live, but you're going to view that as they don't believe that you can do it. They don't believe that you're going to be successful. Woo! They don't believe that you're going to be successful. Live blood, sweat, and tears. So whenever y'all say, when we say blood, sweat, and tears, that's what happens. Even though, thank goodness, I don't think I nicked myself enough where I'm bleeding. But if I didn't have those people in my life, where would I be, you know? If I didn't have a group of supportive college friends, what would that look like for me? Where would I be right now? So support is detrimental to those of us who are following our passions because it's tough. It's not easy. And it's not always an easy thing to just go out and do or to even tell somebody that you're doing. The Chrysocolla Elixir. Yes. Okay, so I have had the best time chatting with you guys today. So we have the Carnelian Elixir. All of these elixirs will be available on my shop while we were live chatting and making today. So that's the Carnelian Elixir. We have the Bloodstone Elixir. I'm sorry, Unakite Elixir. This is the Bloodstone Elixir. And these are all pendants that you can wear. The Turquoise Elixir. As well as, last but never least, the Chrysocolla Elixir. And I'm going to find that mahogany piece that disappeared somewhere and completely disrupted the live. But I want to thank you all so much for joining in. I'm going to be doing these long lives a lot more often. I was supposed to be vending at Nicholas, Brooklyn today, but I wasn't feeling the weather. And I was also following spirit. And I just kind of wanted to come and chat with y'all instead. And while chatting, I decided to, you know, create and talk. It helps to make the time go by because I don't know if I would have made all these 5 pieces if I wasn't sitting up here talking to y'all beautiful people. And thank y'all for not making this a one-way conversation where I was just talking to myself. A lot of people have come on and come off throughout the hours. I've been on since 1 p.m. Eastern time. It is 4:30 now. But I will be doing a lot more of these types of lives where we could just talk and discuss about the things that we're looking to bring into our life, the things that we've experienced, and just talking about affirmations more to the things that we can utilize to reach our desired selves, our desired goals. Again, for those of you who don't know, I'm NayMarie of Adorned In Taji, your crystal healer, certified crystal healer and healing arts jeweler. All of my pieces are handmade, or at least 98% of them are handmade. And I appreciate you guys for always tuning in, always checking out. These pieces, like I said, will be up on the shop. Feel free to go to the shop, show your girl some love, join the email tribe. The email tribe gets first notice about everything. So whenever there's new pieces that come out, so you go to adornedintaji.com/join. I have a crystal guide that talks about color coding and the different things that are beneficial for all of your chakras. So when you're working on a specific part of your body, or if you're looking to bring about certain aspects or elements into your life, you can talk about what chakras benefit that and what things you can utilize, as well as in terms of your foods and your candles and your herbs and all those kinds of things to bring about what you're looking to, you know, manifest into your life. So if you have any questions, feel free to DM me or to send me an email at info@adornedintaji.com. Again, my name is NayMarie, even though people think my name is Taji. I am Mama Taji, but I am not Taji. Taji means crown in Kiswahili. That's why I chose the name for Taji Mag, which is the original brand that Adorned in Taji was birthed from. And it still exists, obviously. Taji Mag is your Black culture publication, so go see Taji Magazine on IG. It's in my bio. Check out the links in my bio for my link tree. You can see all the things that I'm speaking about as regards to the shop, the guide, joining the tribe, tons of other things. It's all in there. All the things that you have to do. This shirt, crystals, sage and Palo Santo, incense, herbs and oils, meditation, affirmations, my ancestors, will be on my shop, available on Monday. So you can check that out there as well. And thank y'all so much for joining me. It has been so much fun. I'm going to go get something to eat and something to drink before my throat tries to die me. And I will check in with y'all soon. My next live might not be this kind of live. I might just be talking about something random, but I will be doing, if you see me post the same post that I post today, it will be this type of Q&A discussion type live where it's like live chat at the hub. And the hub is my home. It's my home studio with L1 Will Focus. So he had to step out. He's going to a men's meeting. So shout out to the men at the men's meeting because I'm proud of y'all. Oh no, he's not going to a men's meeting, but he's going to a meeting with guys. I think their men's meetings happen like every third Thursday or something like that. But I know he's going to hang out with some friends. So, and I'm proud of them for that. So, yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.